And I've got sound going on. Hang on. All right, everybody, we are live. And as my friend, the Gaming Werewolf, pointed out, that is Reanimator behind me. Classic movie, Laserdisc. Hold on while I get rid of what's on my television. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it up. I'm just going to turn the volume down. I can't believe I just wasn't paying attention. It's the kind of stuff you do when you're old. Boom. Volume's down on that puppy. All right. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. Wow. You can only see like my eye, a little bit of my hair. I kind of like that. Because I got like a little table that sits in front of me, a little tea cart, they call them. And it's, it's on wheels. And that's where I set my laptop and my phone charger and all that. And 4 or 5 freaking remotes and 2 or 3 pairs of headphones. And it's pretty cool. But anyway, so the camera's on the laptop, so that's why I never get like a good view of anything. But whatever.
Yeah, my camera kind of sucks, so I just turned it off.
I've got a little 1080p. It's an actual HD camera, one of those Logitechs. In fact, I probably should start using it just to like show off silly things, like, hey, look, here's a fight stick that I don't use, but it's really cool. And
oh yeah, that'd be nice.
Because I don't want to just hold things in front of the laptop. But that other camera is pretty small. You can actually, in fact, I can put the other. Whoa! I hit my microphone.
That's okay.
Put the other camera.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Actually, you know what? I've used this and I never took off the plastic. How embarrassing! And I actually used it for some live shows. Oh, you know what? That's not over the camera. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, there is one. I'm doing it now. There's one over the lens right there. Anyway, this will clip onto a laptop or whatever, but I clip it onto anything, or you can use it as a handheld, or I could be using my phone as a camera right now. And although I don't know how that would work, yeah, that probably wouldn't work.
I mean, it works fine if you have like a holder. I've seen people do it.
Well, I have a tripod for the phone that I could.
Yeah, so you'd be fine, and those phone cameras are pretty good.
But for that would be like me doing a static video, getting on the other side of the room where I've got big shelves full of DVDs, and I've got a corner with a computer jammed in it. I could probably sit over there some more and like do a movie review or do a game review on camera. But then you upload that to YouTube after the fact. But
right,
I've just been lazy, not wanting to do that for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know. I keep telling them I'm going to do it, but then I don't.
I do more game reviews, but I just hate the look on my face on camera.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not an old man, and the only time I ever feel comfortable is if I've just had a haircut, because I like a nice tight flat top, which this is not right now. This is kind of grown out. You can see the massive amount of gray in my hair. I'm old,
You're doing better than me.
This is a 1 week beard, by the way. My God, I will say that I still grow hair like a beast. It's crazy.
I wish I could say that. I'm starting to bald a little bit, but oh well. What are you gonna do? Getting old sucks, but
yeah, whatever. What have you been playing, man? What's going on?
So I've been. I just finished my 7th playthrough. Yes, I'm up to 7 already of Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8. Excellent game, and I will say this: unless you're going for the achievement or trophy, don't bother with Village Shadows difficulty. Just stop at hardcore, because oh my god, it is so hard. You hit a brick wall when you get to Heisenberg toward the end, and it just gets worse from there. It's like I can't explain it. It's just like they just threw everything in the kitchen sink at you, and you expected to just to take it. And it's like, It's so hard. I mean, some people will probably pipe up and go, "Ah, it wasn't that bad." Yeah, I beat it after like 15,000 tries, and it wasn't worth it because the gun you get for beating it on Village of Shadows, the rocket gun, it sucks. Once you have the Magnum fully upgraded, the Stake Magnum, and once you have the unlimited ammo, which you can easily get just by playing through it on casual a few times, that's all. That's it. That's the best gun in the game. There's no rocket launcher, and the rocket. The only thing the rocket gun does is just create some pretty sparks. That's it. It's like yay, particle effects, big deal. It's very weak, and you can't upgrade it either. So I was like, what? This is the reward we get for doing the hardest difficulty? No, thank you. But anyway, but beyond that, it's a really good game. I'm only 2 trophies away from platinuming it, but I don't know if I am because it's mercenaries based, and I'm not so into mercenaries. I don't know. Some people love it. I just like the main game myself. Um, Other than that, I've just been playing mostly some Switch games. I just started the was it World's End Club? It's done by the same guys who did the Zero Escape series, and it got some mixed reviews, but so far I'm enjoying it. It's a pretty interesting story. It's hard to explain it as if you played Zero Escape or any of those virtual games. Yeah, you know how complicated it gets real fast. But it's pretty good so far. I mean, like, I'm only at the beginning. I mean, if maybe later on it gets worse, I don't know. But I so far I like it. Um, that's on the Switch. I think it's on the PS4. Might be on the Xbox as well. I have to look it up. Um, that's what I've been doing recently. Oh, I also got Raison EX. That was a physical release from uh, oh gosh, NGDev. I hope I'm saying that right. Really good. It's a shooter. It's a shmup. I don't think it's on eShop, believe it or not. I could be wrong on that too. It's just like a 16-bit shooter with CG graphics, but of course it's like 2D. It's actually a lot of fun, and it's really well done. Runs great on Switch, and they had a very limited release. They're doing another. I gotta look it up now. They're doing another limited release. I think in June. I can't pull it up fast enough, but yeah, it's really good. Raison EX, it's called. If you want to look it up.
Yeah, I want to see if that's on Xbox. That sounds interesting. I'm all about the shoot 'em ups. In fact, that's
Yeah.
what I've been playing. Capcom Arcade Stadium.
Oh
I'm
yes,
all
that's a
in on
great
it.
one.
Holy f! I am all in on this thing. Those shooters they put on there, um, and I vaguely knew about it because it came out on the Switch months and months ago. Uh, I hate it when they do this crap where they release something on other systems for bullshit. Get them all and release them at once, but whatever. I'm just happy that it's on there. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it was originally a Neo Geo game apparently, and they upgraded it for the Switch. Yeah, it's extra stuff.
what's
Run.
the title again? If it was on Neo Geo, I should have it
Yep,
on
Raison. Razion
Razor.
EX. Yeah, but it might just be Raison. I don't know if the EX is part of the Neo Geo. I think the
Yeah,
EX is just the
that's not
Switch.
one of the ones that's part of the ACA. Or I
Yeah,
guarantee it, I'd already have it. So it's definitely not one of those. And I don't believe that it's yeah, I don't think that's on the Xbox. So if it's an original Neo Geo game, I'll have the original though. But I'll have to play it on one of my Neo Geo.
yeah. It's not. Apparently, right now it's only on the Switch. Looks like. I mean, that could change later. Um, yeah, I don't see. I don't even see that it's there for. Let me see if it's eShop. Wow, it's one of those physical only games. That's rare.
Yeah, that's very rare. In fact, I thought they wasn't supposed to ever do that. My understanding was everything
Well,
would be available online to buy.
admittedly, it is. It is. It is from Germany too, so I don't know if that means anything since it's international. Let's see. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's only physical right now.
Hmm.
Well, it's really good. There's another coming in June. There's another. Here's NG Dev. Yeah, I said it right. So it's
Oh,
NG
okay.
Dev.
I know who they are, and
Yep.
now that makes total sense. They've had many other games for old systems that they've put out over the last Jesus 7 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done not just Neo Geo stuff. I think they've actually done. I don't want to say Saturn, Dreamcast. They put out a couple of games for the Dreamcast, a couple of things for the Neo Geo. So they're really cool.
Oh,
But
it's
I'm shocked that it would be physical only still.
yeah. I'm a little shocked
Makes
at that
no
too.
sense.
I'm willing to bet it'll come out. It'll come out on the eShop soon. I'm positive of it. It's probably just the limited initially. This way they can sell it out. But what's interesting is they released. I got lucky. They basically pulled an old school limited run and released like 1,500 for the first run in like a week and a half. No, 2 or 3 weeks ago. It sold out in 6 minutes, and I was lucky because I just got in under the wire and I got the special edition, the one with the soundtrack and all that.
No.
And yeah, I was really happy with it. It's really good. It's a shooter. It's not a bullet hell. It's a
Good.
classic shmup.
Yeah, that's what I love. Classic shoot 'em ups. I
Yep,
don't. I'm
side
not the
scroll and
biggest
everything.
bullet hell fan. I have a, a bunch of them, but yeah, I would rather not play a bullet hell.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I mean, there's a lot of bullets, but it's not a bullet hell. But yeah, so it's that one. That one, if it comes out on, well, it's gonna. There's another. They're probably gonna do another print out because they weren't expecting it to sell so well. And I'm like, well, people love the shmups, so they might do another print. And after they release the second one in June, I gotta get the date. I think it's coming up soon. Crap, 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 crap. I hate when my internet just tanks on me.
well, you're looking at. I'm back on this Capcom Arcade Stadium. They pretty much fixed some of the issues or some of the problems that they had when they released the arcade cabinet back in the 360 and the PS3 days. And that one was actually still pretty good, arcade cabinet. But to be honest, yeah, some of the games that were ported over for that one they were very poorly done ports, to be honest. And of course the other problem is most of these are arcade games. No, these are all arcade games. They're the better games, in all honesty, are ones that were made for the home consoles. They just are. I'm sorry, but arcade. I love old arcade games from the 80s into the 90s, but they were made to get you to waste quarters.
Oh yeah,
It's a different thing when you started putting those on. By the time they got to the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, when they did get arcade ports over, they were usually pretty damn good. The arcade might have beat them out slightly on textures or the look. Overall, the game may have been a little bit better in the arcade, but the playability factor on those consoles, it was just better. And you don't, on all these collections, you never get those versions of the game, because they'd have to pay Nintendo or Sega or whoever. Although that don't make sense to me. It's like it was your damn game that you put on those systems. So why aren't you putting it out now on a console? Yeah, whatever But anyway,
oh, by the way,
Arcade's worth the money, and you should just buy all three of their packs.
oh yeah, it's definitely worth it. I agree. I
But
have
at
it.
least you only have to buy 3 packs. So and if you buy them all together, it's what, $30 for the game, and it's well worth it for the amount of games you get on it. Now, that was one of the big knocks against their Capcom arcade cabinet, because a lot of those games you had to buy 2 months later, 6 months later, a year and a half later, onesies and twosies to get all of them. And it was bullshit. And
Yeah,
again, the quality, because there's so many great companies now that have been doing these older games and they get put out and they play and look great on modern equipment. But Capcom, whatever, when the big companies was doing this back in the 360 generation or the PS3 generation, they didn't do such a good job. But I noticed when I got the Capcom beat 'em up bundle, that was where I kind of opened an eye and said, "Damn, Thank you, Capcom. I don't know who you got to do this because you didn't fucking do it, but they did a fabulous job. These games look amazing on my 4K television. They don't look shitty.
No, they did an outstanding job. The beat 'em up bundle. I
And
actually got the import for the physical import because it came with like the arcade posters, like mini arcade posters, which is
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, thank you, PlayAsia. That was awesome.
yeah, I like
Um,
Asia a lot. That's
yeah, I buy a
it,
lot of
it,
stuff.
it costs you some money, but sometimes
You
you
know,
just got to do it. If you
honestly,
want
you're
that
right.
extra little
Well,
bit,
here's check out. I mean, okay, so check out some of their partners. You can put a discount code in. Usually, you get 5% off. Like Nintendo Wire, for example. If you put NinWire in, you'll get 5% off your total. I think it has to go over 50, but that's easy to do because they're almost always over 50. Um,
speaking of where you was at, just talking about an old school shop, Neo Geo, and I was talking about Capcom Arcade, and then their 360 game Capcom Arcade cabinet, as well as the beat 'em up bundle. Also sitting back there, just on the other side of that beautiful laser disc is my little portable uh, Sega arcade cabinet. That's in a candy cab. The reason I mention that, as cool as that is, there's a new one coming out. It's not a Sega cab. It's a Tato or Tato. I've
oh,
never known how to pronounce it right, but
Taito,
it
whatever.
is the Egret 2. My God, the greatest. I'm sorry, it is. It is bar none the greatest arcade candy cab that was ever out. They didn't always get the best games because I mean it's Tato or Tato or whatever, but um,
They have a good selection though.
yeah. But what makes this one so special? And they could have done this on the Sega one, but they didn't go the extra mile. Is the screen is rotatable,
That's cool.
so when you're going to play that shoot 'em up
Yeah, the vertical. Yeah, tape
vertical,
mode.
you
Yeah,
pull the screen and it flips. It's fucking awesome. I have now. There's a guy on YouTube that has his own channel that makes those. My God, they're expensive. And he makes them up to upwards to full size, down to little tiny ones. I think his most famous ones are not actually the little ones that are like this size, but like a more of a bar top one he sells that the screen rotates. But yeah, I'm not promoting his channel. I don't. It's hard to get him to get. Yeah, it's you're lucky if you can get one from him. But now
well,
here's a big company doing it, selling them. I'm all in, man. I ordered the most expensive bundle that you could get because they even have a version of the control pad that's got a trackball on it for those handful of
that's
games that
cool.
they ever put out like that. So it's like, and this was pretty expensive. Holy shit, excuse me. But anyway, pretty expensive stuff. But if you order just like that, the Egret 2 online from say Amazon Japan. Here's the thing: it doesn't come out to fucking next April or March or something. That's a long time. I'm sorry, but you know what? They're not sold out yet. But I'm telling people, unlike this one, which didn't sell out for whatever reason, I guess because it was just Amazon Japan and they didn't promote it heavily enough. This Egret one's pretty special, and I hope it sells out. So I'm highly encouraging everyone get on there and get this thing.
Post a link to it if you can, either on the channel or the Twitter.
Yeah, it's right now. I'd just say Google Egret 2, and it'll come up.
That works too.
You'll get to it, and then later we'll I wasn't prepared to show off everything, so and I'm not actually good enough to do things on my computer to show it on the screen. Actually, I could do it on the television through my Xbox, and again, hold the camera up and just show my screen. But whoa, and I just lost that. That's embarrassing. I had it up on my screen, but it's gone now. Anyway,
Yep, 322. I found it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm just telling you that the fact that the screen is that's just it's I'm just telling you, it's worth it. Pay
Yep.
the money and get it. That's I like Amazon Japan. I love Play Asia and those kind of places where you can get this kind of stuff. Yeah, it costs you more money, but these are true collector's items. 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, God given I'm still alive, I'll still have that little guy. I'll still have that laser disc too, by the way. Oh yeah. Uh, but and I'll have that egret one too. And I'm just telling you, that is if you love gaming and you're a collector, that's the kind of stuff that's worth paying the money for.
Wow, so they go way up there. It starts at
Yeah, it's insane.
110 and it goes way up to 450. But you get like CDs and stuff.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
and if you don't want all that stuff, that's
Oh yeah, I mean, you
yeah,
still have
quality.
options.
Just get the machine, and this one's got an SD card slot. How long is it, do you think, before somebody hacks that?
They've already
Not
hacked it.
only not only Tato games, you're going to be able to do all the Capcom CPS 1,
Yeah.
2, and 3 arcade games, all the Sega ones. You're going to be able to load them all on that puppy. And then it'll have the output to your television, be a nice, crispy 720p signal that your 4K TV or your 1080p TV will upscale to whatever. Yeah, and it will look and play great. I'm just telling you, people, these are cool things. And I'm shocked that they never sold that one on Amazon in the US. What the fuck? Why is that Japan only? I don't even think the Japanese people like crap like that like we do.
I don't know. I know that Limited Run did the Sega one for like a pre-order. Actually, it wasn't a pre-order. They only got a limited run, literally a limited amount.
Yeah,
They
after the
released it.
fact. It wasn't pre-order.
Yeah, no, you're right. Which I got one. And I'm happy with it.
Yeah, me too.
But
I love it. And I got the little extra control pad. I didn't buy the
yep.
big, the full size.
Yeah, I didn't either. I just got
Yeah,
the little cabinet and the control pad myself.
Yeah, that's all I got was a small one. I wanted the full size control pad, but or fight stick, whatever you want to call it. But it was like, damn, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And at the time, that was when I was at my worst, when I was sick in the hospital with heart failure. And that's how my card got hacked. Thank you, Amazon. An Amazon customer service rep actually hacked my card. And when I was trying to order this, I got help from their customer service because Amazon Japan wasn't working correctly. And I was in the hospital. And yeah, so instead of getting that, I had my card hacked and had like $800 stolen. But luckily, Amazon didn't do shit. That's why I don't have Amazon Prime anymore. So yeah, I'm not the biggest Amazon fan. I don't.
No, that's fine. I'm actually losing my taste for them. Their Prime service isn't so great anymore.
No, because their best stuff's always hidden behind paywalls.
Yeah.
It always pisses me off. Wait a minute, I'm paying for Prime. I should get this.
I totally agree. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the story. Got ripped off. Then after I got out of the hospital, and then I had to like cancel all my Amazon shit, but I got my money back through my card, and I was all good. And then I hated to give Amazon any business, but the only place you could get that pre-order to make sure you got it was through Amazon Japan. So eventually, I got another account created just for Amazon Japan and ordered it. So and I kept that account open. So now it'll be easy to go in there, or it was easy when it came out.
I'm gonna take a look at it later. After we're done. I'm gonna definitely have it bookmarked.
Here's to make sure that I'm not like just having a couple of $100, $300, $400, whatever. I'm not telling people what all I got from it, but anyway, to make sure that I don't spend that money, I have an extra account, a bank account.
Yeah,
I'm using. But I never shut it down, but it's sitting there with hell, it might have negative money in it. I don't know, but I moved over some money to it that would cover all this, and then that's the card I use to pay for it. Because I'm about to go. We talked about this last week. I don't remember if I just talked about it to you before the show or on the air.
It was on the air. It was Thailand.
I'm going to Thailand, people. Yep. Hey, anybody that's old and wants to relive their misspent youth, contact me. I'm gonna go to Thailand and do it up big. And I've been there before, so don't have to be afraid. Good times.
Awesome.
But anyway, I'll be over there. So this thing will get shipped here. When it gets releases, I'll just have to be bugging my son to make sure that, it gets, because I had some problems with this one. Oh my God, to get it delivered, because they used both, I don't know if it was UPS, I don't know, it was FedEx, and then half was the mail.
Yeah. I forget. It's like Mail Innovations or so. Well, that's UPS, but
and
still,
I ordered this like it was supposed to be June when I was in the hospital. That's when it came out, but it ended up being July. It might have even been as late as August when I actually got it ordered, because I had a lot of problems with Amazon after I got out of the hospital. It took a while to be able to finally buy something from them. But anyway, come October, we move. And I'd forgot that I'd pre-ordered that shit. And all of a sudden, I started seeing videos. People were getting theirs. And I'm like, I ordered it. Oh, I was so happy. And then I start, oh, fuck, where's mine? And then I'm not seeing any messages. And then finally, I got a couple messages. Yeah, yours is being delivered, blah, blah, blah. And then I had tracking numbers and everything. It was great. And then, of course, they had the wrong address. And it finally popped into my head. Oh, fuck, this ain't coming to me. I got to, So I managed, I have it now, but it was not the easiest thing in the world. So this time, I'm going to, we're definitely not going to be moving. We'll still be in the same apartment, come next March or April, whenever it's due to be released. But I won't be here. My son will be here. And so as long as the package gets here and gets, that's all that matters.
Yep, definitely. So E3.
Yeah, I did send out a bunch of stuff talking about our E3 blowout. But here's the funny thing. I don't know, dude. I don't care. I love E3. Don't get me wrong. And I'm going to watch the big show Sunday. But let's be honest. This isn't really E3. This is 4 or 5 different throughout the week, or it might even be more than that, digital shows that, companies are putting on. Mm-hmm. And then it'll look like their main big show from years past. Because Microsoft did one last year after the fact. It was like later than the normal E3, but it looked like their E3 show. And this will too. And this will be fine. And there are going to be a ton of games. And I love that. Games. That's what I like to see. I don't care whether it's gameplay or CGI. I don't care. Just show me games. I love games. So that's the big blowout for me.
Well, what are some of your predictions, do you think?
Games, lots of games. I think they've bought. I don't know if it's necessarily a dev or an IP or two. I think that'll get announced, and people love that stuff. I love that stuff when we just purchase something. And I think they're doing something with Kojima now. Whether that's far enough along that they'll announce it, I don't know. I hope that would be so cool to bring him out, but that might be on next year's agenda when there's an actual gigantic audience and people there. I don't know, but I hope they at least announce it this year that they've made a partnership. And I don't know what game that they're going to have him working on, whether it'll be something totally new or if they bought one of his classic IPs from Konami. Because there's still some weird shit going on with Konami. You hear reports saying that they're selling these IPs, and then yet, are they? Are they just leasing them? Is what I think is going on.
That's what I think. The way I read it is not that they're selling them; they're actually outsourcing them, which means they still own the IP, but they'll have other companies make them. It's just like they did with these Silent Hills at the end.
Yeah.
Which
I know
we don't talk about that.
Sony, my understanding is both their two bigger ones, Silent Hill, as well as Metal Gear Solid. Sony has bought the rights for those two games, the original, and they're having them remade by one of their companies that do so good at that stuff. I forget which one.
Probably Blue Point or something.
Yeah, Blue Point. Or there's multiple companies that do great.
Oh yeah, there's definitely.
But I'm pretty sure that's going on. And at the same time, I think Microsoft, I pretty much know for a fact on one of those through the one, and it's not really even Microsoft. It's through this that small dev that just did the that horror game that's about to come out on PlayStation here in a week or two or something.
Medium?
Yeah, that little that dev that did
Oh,
Medium
okay,
and
yeah.
the horror games. They're doing a Silent Hill sequel.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much a done deal. That's leaked out enough that from enough sources that I believe it's true.
I think that'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
But that's not Xbox. That's that dev. You just said their name. What was their name again? No, you didn't say the dev. You said the game, the Medium. It's
Medium.
that dev, whatever their name is, whatever.
Yeah,
They've done they did a couple other horror games too. They're doing a Silent Hill sequel. Sony's doing a remake of the first one. Now, Sony's also doing a remake of Metal Gear Solid. This one's a little more iffy because I've not ever heard a concrete this is true source on the Metal Gear Solid. And then once that was announced, I think people maybe put 2 to 2 together because of the Silent Hill thing going on. No, Microsoft's bought the rights to do a Metal Gear Solid game, a true sequel or whatever. And then they've teamed up with Kojima to let him make the game. I don't know if any of that stuff.
And that feels more like wishful thinking than anything else.
Sometimes the fanboys they because one thing is true, the Silent Hill thing. I'm pretty much willing to die on that hill. That Sony has one of their studios or a third party studio, whatever. Sony's paying for it to do just like they did with the at the beginning of the PS5. What was the Demon Souls?
Yeah, that was
just like they had that Demon Soul game made. They're having a Silent Hill game made. I believe that to be 100% true. And I also know for a fact that dev that did the game, the horror game, has done some stuff for Microsoft, is doing a Silent Hill. I don't know if it's going to be numbered. It'll be Silent Hill with a name, subtitle, or whatever. But they're doing that, a sequel, so to speak. So a new Silent Hill game, whatever you want to call it. But those two things are true. The other two things almost seem like fanboys are like putting 2 to 2 together.
Yeah, just like the Switch Pro. I'm still waiting. Yeah, I know it exists.
Don't say that's not coming, man, because I want that Switch Pro.
No, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. It's just I just don't think it's coming this year.
I hope not. I hope it's next month or April. I think it's going to come out on the anniversary when the Switch came out, and I think it's going to let a lot of people down. This is Nintendo. This is not a mid-gen upgrade. This is just a normal upgrade that they've done with every one of their fucking handhelds.
Yes.
The language people. They've been doing this forever. They'll make their handhelds better.
Here's my prediction with it. This is what I think it is, to be honest. Yes, it will have an OLED screen, which of course will create better battery. And I think that they're going to expand it just enough for it to output a 4K image, not create a native.
They're going to use
4K
the
image.
dock to somehow do that stuff.
Right.
And I don't know about the chipset inside this thing, but it's not going to be like something that's amazing when you're now going to be playing. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. I think it's just a slight upgrade, just to get a better image on your TV, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to see any real. I mean, there might be a
there's
slight.
Not going to be any additional compute strength in this thing.
Well, there would have to be a slight bump just for the 4K, but not enough for it to be any different for the graphics. In other words, don't expect like what you see with the Xbox Series X and the PS5, on the previous gen, where it doubles the frame rate. It'll be nice, but I don't expect it.
I don't either. I'm not all because they're going to keep making games. It's got to play on the original Switch.
Yeah.
So all this is going to be kind of a bump up kind of thing. That's why I said there's no additional computational power in it, because if they had additional power in it, they'd make new games would get made that wouldn't work on the old system.
So here's
going to do that.
Here's a good comparison. Think the new 3DS.
Yeah.
That's what it'll basically be, like a new Switch.
And here's the thing: everybody's, and I'm guilty of this. Oh, an OLED screen. Oh, It's a what 7-inch screen. Human eye can't tell that that's fucking OLED. I've seen OLED phone screens, by the way. They look great. They don't look any better than my non-OLED screen on
Um,
this Samsung.
so here's the dirty secret with that. It was a thing when the Vita came out. I admit, but the LCD technology has improved to the point
Yeah,
where it does look very close to OLED. Yes, there's some bleeding. I mean, if you really truly compare them side by side, yes, you can tell the difference. But if you're not doing it side by side, it's not the 3DS versus the Vita anymore. Honestly, that LCD on the Switch is excellent.
yeah.
I don't care what people say. And then people are like,
No,
well,
it's not. It's
no,
they
no,
looked at cell phones and they're like, "This is all we need.
yeah.
We got to be at the minimum at this level is where we need to be." So that's what they put on it. They have to do
Honestly,
a price per whatever. Hey, we got to buy. I mean,
yeah.
let's be honest. Well, they didn't know when they were coming out with the Switch it was going to sell like it did, but you have to think once we end up, this is a hit and we sell 50 million, 80 million, 100 million of these, we got to be able to get these screens to make this many consoles, and we got to have this much profit off of each one and all that stuff. And so they went with what it needed to be, and they had what they had to compare it against. They wasn't looking at previous handhelds; they were looking at cell phones.
Right.
And I'm telling you now, if OLED was important, trust me, every Samsung, Apple, or LG phone, high end, best models would have OLED screens. They don't, because
Well,
what they use works just as well and looks just as good.
that and the fact that OLED is still expensive, and I hate
But
to say it,
it would not be if they were all making them or putting them in there.
well, true, but also too, technically, it doesn't last as long.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, cell phones being what they are, disposable, that's not going to matter. They'll outlast, even if you keep your cell phone for like 5 years, they'll outlast the phone. But truth be told, like on the television set, I forget what they're rated, but they're like 30 to, well, I mean, not that low. I guess they're like 60% life of what an LCD would be, expected lifespan.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, it's long enough where most people aren't going to care. Which is
OLEDs
fine.
are naturally darker and they're not nearly as bright. So there is a problem out in bright sunlight. Uh, but Nintendo's, I'm sure, looked at that and they know what they're doing, or they wouldn't be putting OLED screens on
Yeah,
their switches. The reason cell phones have shied away from OLEDs because there have been models certain years that come out and had OLED screens, and it made the phone cost more, and it didn't look any better, and yeah, you have to really pump up the brightness on those, and then that's going to kill the life of the screen. Make it even shorter.
yeah. So, I mean, I know people swear by them, and that's fine. And trust me, the Vita still looks awesome. I mean, not knocking that at all. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think it's not the big deal it was back way years 10 years ago. Um, and really, I think they're doing it more for the battery life because it does sip power versus LCD. I mean, LCDs don't take a lot, but at least I'm sure they did something. Yeah, obviously, Nintendo knows what they're doing, and there's a reason they switched. So we'll see what happens. It might also just be because of the chip shortage. It's probably easier to do OLED now. Maybe I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but it's possible that it's cheaper just to do the OLEDs than it is the LCDs in terms of what they're aiming for. I don't know.
Could be.
Anyway,
I don't know, but it also might be that parts. Okay, you're no longer competing against every swinging dick cell phone on the planet to get your phone when you're getting these produced. You're buying OLED screens, so that's whatever supplier that's Nintendo worked out a
thank you,
deal with.
thank you. You worded it better than I did. Yes, that's true. You're right.
Because back to the original Switch, one of the biggest problems why it was, I'm a big one about talking about like fake shortages and all that. it really wasn't that with the Switch. They really did run into a problem with the screens because that screen they were using was the exact same screen that Apple was using
Yeah.
at various sizes. By the way, you can have a 7-inch, a 10-inch, a 15, a 5, whatever, but they're made from the same materials. They're cut on the same. Those screens are actually before the trim and all that's done. They're cut and sized. They're the way they make them. It'll be a sheet, and then that sheet will give you like like 9 screens on one sheet, or
Right. Right.
4 screens if it's a bigger size or whatever. But anyway, they were fighting Apple to get them damn screens, and it caused severe Switch shortages in the beginning, and it could have derailed them. When fans cannot buy your product, they buy something else. But luckily for the Switch, the heavens opened up just correctly, and it might have been something that Nintendo knew that by that first Christmas, the end of that year, let's be honest, the PS4 and the Xbox One were long in the tooth, and everybody had one, and everybody wanted a console. Switch was there that year when it came out, and man, you had Zelda, and then you had a Mario game at the holidays. Holy fuck! And then somewhere around October of that year, I might even been by September, they got all that straightened out and got enough screens, and they were on store shelves, and they've never looked back since then.
Yeah. Although now it's hard to find them again, but that's a chip shortage doing that.
Well, I don't know. I think Nintendo might be shorting them just because the Pro's coming.
That's true too. I mean,
they're buying a whole different subset of parts for these.
I don't think they're going to announce anything before E3. I know people are like, no, I exist.
I don't even know they're going to announce it at E3 this year. They didn't announce that year the Switch came out. There was no E3 announcement that the Switch was coming. It didn't come to that following March.
Right, April, and they only announced it in January. They literally announced it 2 months before it was going to be released. Exactly. They did their own show on it.
But everybody knew it was coming. I mean, it was just like everybody knows the Pro's coming. But so Nintendo might not say nothing until the end of the year or the beginning of next year.
Yeah, just like they did with the Switch. Which is kind of cool. I kind of like the way they did that because you don't have to wait long for the game or the system to come out. It's not like, I think they learned their lesson with Metroid Prime 4, to be honest with you. When they announced, because they had to announce something, and they announced it, and here we are 4 or 5 years later, and it's like, we still have no idea what's going on with that. So I think they learned from that, and that's why like they announce games. It's like, hey, this game's coming out next month. Oh, okay, cool.
Well, this is it's a little bit different with equipment, but I
know,
and I didn't like the way they did it because I already knew about it, so I was like feverishly daily wanting any kind of news on the Switch. And to be honest, long before the official announcement that was coming out, I was heartbroken. Nintendo always guts me because I'm an idiot and I think it's going to be the most powerful, greatest system ever.
They'll do that.
It's going to do this, it's going to do that, and I get all hopped up, and then it's like, oh wait a minute, you're putting in a not last year's chipset. You're putting in a 2-year-old fucking chipset that they're using in cars for navigation systems.
Not even. The navigation system is the next one. They're using the precursor to that one.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? And it's a handheld, and it's not. But they know what they're doing. I mean, they just do. Holy crap.
Yeah, but you know what? I learned this, despite the fact that I don't expect them to ever be top power. I'm okay with that, because they've proven that they can take very little, and do so much with it. Yeah. And the Switch is just your proof right there. I mean, as quote unquote underpowered as people say it is, and I admit I'm not going to knock it. We know it doesn't have the power of even a PS4. That's fine. It does amazing stuff. The fact that they're able to even get certain games on it, it's just a miracle. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I wish some of those games they hadn't even forced to put on there because they wasn't very good ports.
But you know what, though? It's still the fact that they did it just is still amazing to me. It doesn't. Yeah, it's not the best way to play, I'm sure. But, I mean, if you want them portable, at least at the time, yeah, they're playable. Um, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't play Witcher 3 on the Switch if it was my only unless it was my only option. Obviously, you want to play that on the Xbox or PlayStation or PC. But still, the fact that they actually got it on there is somewhat of a miracle. And people went through and they're like, this could even be better. They actually got it to run 60 frames a second with a couple of with mods on the original hardware. I mean, I had to overclock it, which kills your battery, but it's possible.
I just
It's
know
kind of
once
crazy.
Nintendo gets a hit console, sometimes they everybody wants their game on it because whatever's the biggest selling console, that ends up getting the most games because
Right.
everybody wants their game on that console. And it was
It's
the
all about
Wii
money.
factor. Before the Wii, the GameCube was an amazing little beast. I loved everything about it.
Yep.
Yet, and sales wise, it's considered whatever. Not an ultimate flop like the Wii U, which is what sold 10, 11 million.
Yeah.
It did outsell the N64 by a lot. By the way, I think it was like somewhere between 20 and 30 million GameCube sold.
Actually, it did not. This Nintendo 64 sold about 30 something million, 36 million, and the GameCube only sold 21 million.
Okay, then I had them backwards, those two.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that was the last time that they went all in on having a very powerful system.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
made
It
it
was really
smart is because like everybody does the scrunching the console down at the end of the life before the new one, or right when the new one comes out, how they used to do it. They didn't do it mid-gen. But they did. The Wii is just a glorified GameCube. I don't care what anybody says. I know it is. I know what's inside of a GameCube. I have
It's
modded ones. I
it's
have
an overclocked GameCube with
yes,
more RAM. That's exactly what it is.
and the Wii because of the silly control thing, whatever, and being much cheaper, and then they were able to sell that thing much cheaper because it was just a GameCube. You know, however you want to look at it, they didn't have to do a whole lot of research and development on it.
I mean,
It
it
cost
even
them a ton of money, and it was perfect. It came at the right time because we were still
that
HD was
it
still
was
far enough out that didn't matter.
what was awesome about the Wii. Yeah, I know that's a weird set of words to use for that system, but it was fully, at least the original run, was fully backward compatible with the GameCube, including the
Yeah,
controller ports. It had the four controller ports and a little slip thing in the bot, as well as the memory cards. You could just play it, GameCube right on the way, and it output, on the best settings, whatever the standard definition was, and it did really well. For me, that was awesome because that's what I loved about the Wii because I could play my GameCube games and it was native because it's
yeah.
basically it.
I've got a black Wii that has a hard drive. It's got every GameCube game that ever came out, and it's got every Wii game that ever came out on the hard drive. And then, okay, here's what's super cool about it: you open the lid, and where you're supposed to be able to put one of them little mini CDs in. No, excuse me, not a mini CD. Open the lid of the Wii.
Hmm.
Um, no, you don't even open the lid. Hold on. I have it sitting right here. I'm trying to. Okay. On the front of it, there's like a place for an SD card. Hang on.
Right.
Those things I can't describe. I have to just show. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. We can hear you fine.
Because I'm like way away from the microphone all of a sudden. I've got to unhook. Oh shit! Everything, the antenna, the hard drive, and all that. But this is one of those things that I wanted to talk about, showing people that is so fucking amazing. You look at it, doesn't look anything special. Just a Wii,
Hmm.
okay? But you open it up, there's an SD card slot right there. And on that SD card, every Wii, and there's the GameCube part of it.
Yep.
But the SD card has all those Wii Store games that were never released physical. The only way you could own those is if you bought them from the Wii Store
Hmm.
and had them. You can't buy them anymore. They're not out there. And I have every one of them on an SD card. And they play and perfect. Like I said, I have I don't know if it's 4 terabyte or 5 terabyte hard drive sitting over here that hooks to this Wii. It has every fucking GameCube game and every Wii game. This is the most valuable, as far as I'm concerned, not money wise, but as far as game playing wise, console thing that I own. And yeah, it's amazing. I love it. I mean, you're talking all these, the best Nintendo had to offer on 2 other systems. Pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah. Hey, I like the Wii. I'm one of the few people who actually enjoyed it.
Oh, I loved it. But you had to know not to be playing it on a high def television, okay? Because games wasn't going to look that good. They still look and play better on a tube TV.
Oh yeah. Well,
now they have lots of solutions. By the way,
yeah.
You can take that original Wii and hook it to your HD television. There are things, but I don't do that. I have a couple of CRTs, so that Wii that I just showed off has been hooked to a CRT that's like 4 feet from me, and it's just behind my laptop against the wall. There's a CRT there. That's why I want the camera in front of me, because I could like show shit. It's not so they're just pointing backwards. Although the movie changed. Now it's The Evil Dead.
I didn't even notice you changed it.
Yeah, and I turned the camera off a couple minutes ago and walked around there and changed it out. That little stand is so cool. It's you can use it for albums or Laserdisc, but I bought it specifically for Laserdisc back in the day. It was it's real heavy metal, and it was from a company called APC. I don't think they're in business anymore. They made some back in the day. They made some high fidelity type equipment and things. I think what I had from them, what I bought, was a DAC, a digital analog converter. So you wouldn't have to use the one in your cheap CD player, and so you can get better sound and all that. And I don't know why they sold that. It's just a piece of aluminum, but it's pretty cool. It actually says Laserdisc on it at the bottom. But yeah, let me move my microphone back. It's like set kind of funny. Because I'm in a double wide recliner, which Colt Eastwood fucking stole that from me. I thought I'd been for the longest time the only person on YouTube that was doing gaming stuff while he was sitting in a double wide recliner, and he now copied me. So thanks, Colt. Didn't give me any credit for it. Of course, he probably didn't know that I was doing that, because I'm a nobody and he's not watching any of the shows I do. But
well, great minds and all that.
Yeah. But he's got some like vinyl album covers on the wall behind him, and I have those same kind of frames, but I only put Laserdisc covers in them, and I don't have them on the walls up in here to show off or anything. And I don't even have a wall behind me. That Laserdisc thing is sitting on it's like a tall cabinet. Yeah. That's not even where it goes, by the way. It's just sitting in the middle of space. It's kind of stupid. It's supposed to go against the wall. Can they see my hand? I can't see it. Crap.
No, it's not on the camera. But
yeah, it's off camera. But there's a wall back there that thing's supposed to sit against. That I have a shorter version of it sitting there now, and I was going to put the tall thing there, and then I just stuck it behind my chair here, and I just kind of left it. I hadn't got around to moving because I don't know what I'm going to do with the other thing. It might have to go. Yeah, I'm limited space.
My ultimate dream still is to eventually get a house and have a full room that's just like a gamer / broadcasting room where I can actually set up everything and have like the whole back. Kind of like you see what most YouTubers do. That's not. I mean, not that I want to create my own YouTube thing, although I could. I just want to do it for me. And right now in the apartment I live in, I kind of have that, but I have to also be careful because, it's still not. I don't own the apartment, so I don't want to put too much stuff up. Otherwise, they get cranky.
I've got a good
Whatever.
spot in here in my living room over in the far corner because I've got a computer jammed in that. It's like a nookie thing in the. No, I shouldn't say nookie thing. It's a nook in the corner. It's just perfect to have a monitor set back there in a chair.
Freudian slip? No, sorry.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
why
I
I
know
need to
what
go to Thailand. But yeah, that's the different thing. Can't be talking about.
Anywho,
Yeah. I had the old place I had, which was just a trailer, by the way. For 4 or 5 years, I lived in a big double wide, had a full real roof on it, and had a covered parking for my car and an outdoor storage that was hooked to it. It was actually not a bad place to live, and it was in the middle of nowhere, which is why eventually I moved. And I moved into it originally because I wanted to be out in the middle of nowhere, so I wasn't spending crazy money. And this had a ton of space. And I had a pretty good setup that I never actually used for doing YouTube videos, but I should have. But I have a similar type area here in this apartment. And the apartment is a lot nicer. I wouldn't call this a luxury apartment, but it's pretty damn close.
that's cool.
All the fit and trim in it's really nice. But yeah, I wouldn't. I'm planning on getting like a luxury condo in Thailand. And just so people want to know that a beach facing condo in Pattaya, or some people call Pattaya, about anywhere from $300 to $500 a month, for one or two bedroom.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And these are real. When I say luxury, I'm talking about all the trim and everything in them. The fit and finish is like what rich people get to live with. But over there, you can be a poor person or an average. I shouldn't say I'm not poor, but I'm. Well, yeah, actually, I'm not poor because I don't work anymore. I just live off my military retirement and some disability money. But I'll live like a god over there on that. But
it's unfortunate that's what it takes. I'm not gonna get into that. That's a whole nother.
Yeah,
but
I'm not going forever. I'm not going to be
I
what
know.
they call a expat and live there forever. I'm not about that. I don't even know how long I'm going for. I'm going to get a 1-year visa in advance, and I may only stay a couple months and get burned out and come back.
But you still do. It's still a nice adventure. I mean, it's
like I said, I'm going to have a 1-year visa. So what I'll probably do is between 2 and 6 months is what I'm looking at. Probably do I don't want to bust my lease while I'm over there, but I'm probably get a 6-month lease to get that a little bit better rate on the condo. And what I'm going, but I'm not going to be staying there full time. I'm going to be traveling throughout Thailand itself. At least every other week, I want to be going back for the weekend in Bangkok. And then I'm also going to be doing side trips. I'm going to go for a week or two to Vietnam, go to Cambodia, places like that for little side trips. Might only be for 2-3 days at a time. And then there'll be a much longer trip. I want to go to the Philippines. I have someone there, so I'll be going to, and I may bring her back. I don't know.
Hey.
So I don't. If I do, then that might be the difference on 2, 6, or a year, depending on once we start working on her visa. But I said I might get over there and just burn out quickly and be like, "Fuck this third world living. I'm going back home. I miss the." But be honest, everything you can do here, you can do there. The internet's the internet.
True
You don't
enough.
get better internet just because you're in America. You get the same. Depending on where you're at, anywhere in the world, you might get better speeds.
I was gonna say that's America isn't quite known for their speed.
Exactly. I was gonna say they got great internet over there, at least in Thailand. And Philippines might be a little more suspect. Depends on where you're at there. And they have Philippines, you get brownouts every day, depending on where you're at. But you don't get that shit in Thailand. Everything just works. That's why I want to make that my base of operations and kind of live there, and then branch out to other places and visit. But that's still months off, man. I might not even be alive to do that. I've still got bypass surgery coming up.
Hopefully it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. Now they caught this very early on,
That's
and
good.
so
That's awesome.
this is so that 10 years from now I don't just have like a massive heart attack and die. They're taking care of it now, so that's cool.
That is
But
good.
once I get that done, and however long that takes to heal up, that's when I plan to take off to Thailand. So who knows? My goal right now, I'm hoping I make it over there by October. But then it's like, damn, then I'll be going for Christmas, and I don't know. Although, but why not? I have one son in the States. My other son's in Germany, so I'm not going to be seeing him over the holidays anyway, other than the internet. And I can do the same thing through Skype or 100 other ways to use the internet to via video to contact him. I like using Skype because it's on my Xbox, but and I still use my Connect camera for that.
Hey, it's good for something.
Yeah.
But
Although I don't, I've been meaning to try to hook my Connect up to the Series X, but there's no software now in the Series X to work with it. So, but I was hoping it would at least recognize it as a webcam.
yeah, I don't
If
think
it
it will.
recognizes it as a webcam, then I can keep using it as Skype. But I've not tried yet. But I've got an old Xbox that for a while I had dragged in here. And even though I had the Series X hooked up to the 4K TV, I was hooking the that Xbox One, not a One X or a One S, but just the VCR box they used to love to call it. But I've now got that one hooked to the TV in the living room, and it's a 1080p TV, so it's good for it. And the cameras, I don't, although I have two connects, but I'm not having to unhook everything. I don't want to move it back and forth.
Doesn't the Xbox just work with regular webcams?
Yeah, you can hook any webcam
Yeah.
up to it. So I'm thinking maybe it'll recognize it. I've just not tried. I've not ever heard anybody try or talk about it.
Yeah, it's. That's okay.
So I don't know. We'll see. It's not a big deal. I've got the camera that's on this laptop that I'm pointing at, my Surface Pro. That will work fine for Skype calls. I'll have that with me over there, so come Christmas, I'll, see the grandbaby and all that. We call once, twice a week already as it is. So no difference to me being over there and me being here. What I'm getting at, it's free. It's over the internet. And when you're, yeah. But then I'll leave my one son here alone, but we'll do the same call thing for that. And I don't think he cares whether I'm here or not. It's not important to him. But when you're older, it's important to you to be with family over holidays and things. So
Yeah,
if it
apparently.
gets too close to the holidays, I might just wait and not go till January. We'll see.
Apparently, from what I'm reading here, and I'm only doing this as a Cliff Notes version, but it does not work with Connect, the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It probably wouldn't because there's no longer any software in Series X. They just didn't add them few lines of code that would let the box recognize it. Because they kind of tuck it hard about the Connect. And sometimes Microsoft gets things wrong. Okay, it's not the Connect people hated. That's not why your Xbox One failed. It was the fact that you forced it on people.
Right. And
that caused it that made your console cost $100 more, and it was weaker, just barely, but it was weaker than the PS4. That was it. That wasn't the messaging, and there wasn't that little clip of the Sony guy. This is how we share games, and it wasn't all that. Those things played small parts in the failure of your console. And it's funny I just said failure because you sold somewhere over 50, probably, but not over 60, but at least over 50 million Xbox Ones. Okay, it did okay. That makes it one of the most successful consoles in the history of all consoles. And yet people call it a huge failure, but it wasn't. And Microsoft made a shit ton of money. But let's be honest, it got trounced by the PlayStation 4. It was getting outsold 2-1. And it made Microsoft look at their business model for Xbox and do not just a 180, but to take a completely different way of making money and it's worked great. And now they're on top as far as I'm concerned. It didn't matter how many PS5s get sold. They're not. Xbox is number one because they got Game Pass, and they're at about 30 million right now, or 25, I think is what the number they're about to announce. But by the time Sony is forced into doing a true day and date service to compete with Game Pass, it may be too late. They might not ever be able to catch up. They may never even do it because of that, because you have to be willing to not make any money on your games for a couple of years until you get a big enough subscription base
Right.
to take over as far as your income. And I don't know that Sony as a company can handle that. I'm trying to be brutally honest with people, but it's the truth. Sony as a company is not as strong as it used to be. Their number one money making thing is PlayStation.
Right.
And they do make money on consoles no matter what people think. They're not losing money. They might not make as much on the PS5 for each one sold as they did on the PS4. But trust me, they were making money on those PS4s. They were all off the shelf parts when that thing, just like with the Xbox One, went on sale. And then regardless of how much money they make on the console sales, it's the games. That's what their bread and butter is. Whether it's that 30% they get on a EA or an Activision game, no matter who makes it, they get 30% of the money, and then all their in-house games they get all the money for, of course. But their movie studios are doing a little bit better now. They're but their electronics divisions are just nothing compared to what they used to be in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. I don't mean to cough. Sorry about that.
No, that's true.
So long, and I don't get anything in my throat. Anyway, Sony is fine, and they may not need to do a Game Pass model. That's what they're waiting to see. They're like, we got this PS5 out. They know they're going to sell X amount of them no matter what, just to the fanboys and the hardcore. And then once they get to that point where they've penetrated the market to where now they got to sell to the casuals, that's when they're going to start looking at those numbers. And if they're not doing the kind of business that they had in the past, or if it's not enough to generate the kind of income for game sales that they've done in the past, then they might look at, what, we got to make all of our games day and date like Microsoft did and put everything out day and date on both PC and the console and just mimic them. And trust me, Sony has no problem copying somebody else's business model or somebody else's technology. They're going to do whatever they got to do to make money. Right now, they don't have to do that. And they may never come to that point. Game sales, if they keep dropping AAA bombs that sell between 10 and 30 million copies, they're not going to need to do anything else. So, and Microsoft, by selling these subscription-based things, doesn't matter how many copies of the game is sold. There's a shit ton of people playing it. Yes, they're happy. It's how many people they have signed up for Game Pass. And as long as they have 30 million and above, they're going to be fine. Sony will be fine. We already know Nintendo's going to be fine. Holy crap. Yeah. Nintendo ain't never going to some kind of thing like Game Pass. They don't even put their games on sale. They're like, no, you want our game? You got to buy our system, and you're going to pay full price, and you're going to like it.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly.
They don't. Yeah, they throw it out there, and Nintendo's kind of always been that way, Going back to NES, they were, they were like, no, you can only put 2 games a year on our system, or 4 games a year, whatever it was. It was pretty sad. So, companies would have to make up fake names,
yeah,
and so they could get extra games out for the NES.
It's really interesting though how that worked, because admittedly when Nintendo first came into the market, it made sense because they didn't want what happened to Atari to happen to them. But it very quickly turned draconian when they did take off. So I'm glad they dropped that.
Yeah, they were definitely draconian.
Yeah.
But and they carried that over with the Super Nintendo, and maybe rightly so. Man, I know the Genesis was full throttle and was great and all that, but I always thought the Super Nintendo was better. And,
So did I. Yeah, I was a Super Nintendo kid.
and yeah,
I mean, I love the Genesis too. Don't misunderstand. I mean,
yeah, oh
I
yeah, yeah. Oh, there's
it's
I
an
love
amazing
it.
system.
I've got
But
it's sitting in my living room right now.
oh yeah,
I call it my Sega corner, and they're not even hooked up. They're just sitting on the floor. There's at least 6 Genesis in various forms. Some have CDs hooked to them, some don't. Some have all three, the Tower of Power. Some just sit there by themselves. It just looks so cool that I'm like, well, I'm not gonna put these in the closet, or I like them seen, and I didn't have the shelf space anymore for them when we moved to this apartment. So I'm like, right now they're just sitting on the floor. They take up an entire corner, but it's just cool. Actually, I have one under my coffee table. I keep a Tower of Power, or whatever you want to call it. Although it's the Genesis 2, and then the 2 model of the CD player, but it's got the what's the 32-bit adapter thing.
32X. Yeah.
Yeah, 32X on it, but that's sitting under my coffee table. It's not even hooked up to anything. But over to my right, which you can't see, there's my hand. Over that, no, that's left. Over that way,
The other right.
There's another tube TV over there on the wall, facing the kitchen, which is really weird. But it's on a microwave cart, and it's got like 3 shelves under it. They're like a cooking type shelves, all like the wire.
Oh yeah.
Grading. I mean, it's pretty nice. I ordered it from Target, but
be honest, those are awesome. People like joke and think that's silly. No, it's not. They're great for wire management and things.
Yeah, and the bottom's like wood slats. So there's like a couple of consoles there, and then there's like 2 shelves that slide out that hold controllers and other crap, and then on top is like a granite slab that's the top of this cart, and a tube TV, 26 inches, what it is. Yeah, 26-inch Sony, which is perfect for arcade games. And so I have a 3-in-1. It's got the Genesis, the Nintendo, and the Super Nintendo, and then I also have an original Super Nintendo, kind of overkill. And let me show you. And it looks like there's also a Genesis sitting up there too. So I have an extra Genesis and extra Super Nintendo that's not hooked up. They're just sitting there on the top shelf. And then on the bottom is where the 3-in-1 thing is. But yeah, and then I can bring over other consoles and just sit there real quick and hook one up if needed. The TV in here in my little gaming hub area, I've got it sitting on a shelf. It's got 4. It's like a cube. It's a completely square thing. The TV sits on top of it, and then underneath it, you got 4 cubes. And then on each cube, I have a console setting. There's a Dreamcast and that Wii that I pulled out, which is going to be a bitch to hook back up because I just yanked all the wires out of the back of it and brought it over here to show off on the camera. But I think I have my PC Engine RX, which has the PC has the CD and the turbo chips. I have one of those sitting over there on one shelf, and I thought I had a PlayStation over there, but I'm looking now. It's gone. Oh, I know what it is. The shelf that had that now has a GameCube on it, which I don't need the GameCube sitting there because I have the Wii with all the GameCube games. But I wanted the GameCube over there because I've got one of those that lets you play all the Game Boy Advance games. So,
oh yes, yeah, the Game Boy Advance stuff. I have that too.
I got those discs, and I'm like, God, I love that Game Boy Advance. I know it was more powerful than a 16-bit system, but let's be honest, most of the games were somewhere between 8 and 16-bit. They wasn't the power of that little handheld was always better than what the games being made for it were.
Yeah,
they look great on a television. It doesn't screw it up. Upscaling them, and I just like that. I love that 16-bit look of games, and they carried on such like the what we were talking about, the Capcom stuff earlier. They did the not the Capcom, the Konami ones, the Oh, they just re-released the Capcom one. I'm getting two different things going, so let me keep this so I don't screw it up and keep it tied together. Okay. I just had it and then I lost it. Hold on. Oh, Ghosts and Goblins, the
Yes.
brand new out, Resurrection. I haven't played it yet, but I downloaded it. I don't even know if it's playable yet. Is it out for officially? Sometimes you can download shit
Yeah.
early.
I think it's out. Yeah.
But anyway, I got that. I don't know that I like the look of it. I have seen a little bit of some video clips, and I was like, I don't know. But it's still a classic 16-bit game, and I'm like, fuck it. It was not very expensive, so I bought it. Plus, the original arcade version is on that
The Capcom, yeah,
Stadium
Stadium.
arcade thing. So, yeah, I'm like, cool. Now I can compare it against the original arcade. Okay, now that's one thing. The other thing that I was talking about, which is now flew out of my fucking head. Good Lord.
I did that too.
Hold on. No, it's gone now. It's probably not coming back till about 3 in the morning. I'm going to wake up and remember and be like, fuck. But whatever. Playing the Game Boy Advance games on a CRT via the GameCube is what I'm talking about. And I love those kind of games, particularly the Konami one where you're playing, well, they call it the Castlevania, or what is it where they combine it up with the Nintendo one? Metroidvania games. There we go.
Right.
But the
Yeah.
original Castlevania games is what I was trying to get at. There
Yep.
was like 3 more really great
Yep.
Castlevania games that
Circle of the
almost
Moon.
nobody's played because they were on the Game Boy.
I know. Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and I think it was Ori of Sorrow was the third one.
Yeah, and
Yeah, they were all great. I have them.
all great, but I don't want to sit and play. I'm not going to lie. I don't play handheld stuff, but I do play it when I can play it on my CRT. I get to see it on a nice, chunky 32-inch or 26-inch monitor. I like that, and that's was another reason why I love the GameCube so much. Because not only did it go forward to the Wii, it went backwards to the Game Boy Advance. That was just, I love stuff like that.
And on the Super Nintendo, I like the Game Boy player, the original
Yeah,
one.
oh yeah.
Especially the like Donkey Kong, where it actually put colors in for you. That was cool. It was the really only way to play the original arcade, and then a whole bunch more. That Donkey Kong game.
Everybody talks about Nintendo makes you rebuy games, and not denying that they will re-release games on their whatever's their newest system. They've always done that, and why not? You own that IP, it's yours. What you're not going to sell it to make more money? These are companies, but Nintendo has always given you some kind of backwards compatibility when they've been able to. Okay, and they've been great about it. So I'm not going to knock them on it. And I'm even not going to ever knock Sony on back compat. For whatever reason, current management apparently wasn't ready for back compat moving in from the PS4 to the 5. I think if you go back to where the PS3 was completely back compatible with the PS1 and 2, the last, that we've talked about it before. That was such a great system to have 3. Yeah, it's amazing, that PS3 that does all that. But when they went to the PS4, completely different hardware, they wasn't going to be able to do that. And they made the decision, we don't need to do that. And Microsoft wasn't doing it either, by the way. People don't get it. Even though the 360 had used emulation to have, a crap ton of OG Xbox games back compat to the 360. It wasn't nearly as much as it should have been, but it's still a lot. They're there. It works. When they went to the Xbox One, they were not going to do any back compat shit. They were like, nah, fuck them. Sony's fucking them. We're gonna fuck them. Let's fuck them. That's what they decided. We're not because it's going to cost too much to do it. It's too much time, and I got it. It never bothered me. They were jumping to a new. They were going to the X86. I'm like, cool. Then the next one after that, and the next, they'll all work great then. But initially, but here's what they sold so damn well. Right off the bat, it shocked them to the point where they were like, well, we don't need to have back compatibility. We don't need shit that we used to put in there to help have games. So those first couple of years, when you're only going to really have a handful of original IP or not original IP of console exclusives, you're only going to have 2 per year. So let's say the first 3 years, you're looking at 6 to 10 games total that were exclusive. And then all the third-party games were going to be back pat or whatever you want to call it. They would make different versions of them, but you had to have back compat to make up for the lack of games or whatever. But they didn't with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and it didn't do anything to hurt sales. Now the PS4 is so successful, outselling Xbox 2-1. Microsoft needed to do something, and that was one of their big ass things they did. Well, we had kind of been working on it, and we can do this. So yeah, we'll go back compat, and that was cool. It's not as good as having the disc actually play because those don't. By the way, people don't know or understand. You put that disc in, and it's just like a key. Okay, he actually owns the game. Now let's download the game.
Right.
I don't got a problem with that. It was a way for them to do back compat or whatever, and more importantly, it allowed them to sell all these games that were part of the program digitally on their store, and that was great. I'll honestly tell you right now, I own more back compat 360 games than I've bought electronically. I never bought for the 360 back in the day that I've just bought now because I can just download them. But it was pretty cool. And Microsoft already had this base of doing this, so it rolled over real well. And then they're like, yeah, not only that, because these new systems are going to be, so much more powerful. They come up with that way of where no matter what disc you put in or what game you download, it will know the correct version to put on your particular system.
Right.
And Sony didn't have that. They didn't know they needed that. They didn't care. And is it a big deal? Not really. After 2 years, everything's going to be completely for the PS5 or completely for the Series
X. Right.
And it is about 2 years all it takes. They will be third-party games, maybe even some of Sony games still might be based on the PS4 architecture or whatever. They'll just have PS5 enhancements. They've said 3 to 4 years, but generally after 2 years, they'll have enough consoles sold. You'll see the drop off where it's mostly just PS5 only. People get way too bent out of shape over this stuff.
I agree.
I know this was like a really long and convoluted explanation of things, but it's the way. That's the way it worked, though. That's the way it just happened to play out. And it's not a big deal on either side.
It's really not.
Sony wanted the game to have the PS5. There was a PS4 game, and they wanted to have PS5 enhancements. They went in and done that. Now, Microsoft, luckily, they did have the foreshadowing, whatever, we can automatically do this. And so they're getting FPS boosted games. And maybe with this new super resolution crap, I don't know, but maybe some of their games is just automatically going to get resolution boost. The Sony games won't. But that same super resolution works on the PS5. So any game that Sony chooses, they can still go into and make that work. They just have to do a little work where we're just automatic on Microsoft. But either way, it's not a big deal. You're going to get 2 years. Nobody's going to care about any of those games because it's going to be what's the new releases this week. What's the new release this week? And that's all it's going to be about at that point in time. But right now, be honest, both consoles has kind of needed the old stuff. Uh, Neither one of them knew that they were going to release these consoles during a global pandemic, and that that AMD would screw both companies over with not being able to get the chips to them in time, or they got enough for their initial shipments, but then they couldn't do the restocks afterwards.
Right.
The problem, but yeah, whatever. I'm like, you know what? There's too much bitching or whining about all this stuff. Man, it is a great time to be a gamer.
It is. There's so much
So
cool stuff
much
out
to
there.
play and do, and it doesn't matter which system you're on. It's great either way. And eventually, like every console generation, I will own them all. Right now, I went with Xbox because I just own too many damn games to not buy the PlayStation 5 first. And I could have. I had the money, but I chose not to. I'm like, you know what? I'll wait. I'll let them percolate and get some games. And then when the time is right, there'll be some kind of big sale, or there'll be a custom console, or there'll be something that'll make me go, yeah, I got to pull that trigger and buy my PS5. Um, and this just, but I had, I'm like, right now I'm looking at my screen. I always say 800 games, but the truth is I have 798 games. That's a fucking lot. That's crazy. 798 games. So I had about 700 this time last year. Not this time, or when the consoles dropped back in October, or November when they actually came out. I was like, yeah, I can keep playing these 700 games on my Xbox One X, which was a beast, and I loved it dearly, and I actually felt ripped off the fact that it was only for 3 years, but it was when I bought it, I always knew that it was a makeup console where Microsoft said, hey, we didn't do such a good job with the Xbox One when we launched. Here's this, we're calling it a mid-gen upgrade, but it's not that. It's really just, we fixed all the problems with their original console. Here's something pretty cool now to hold you guys over till next gen. And so we got that great console for 3 years.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just decided I had too many games to immediately jump to the PS5. And maybe I was right in that all these PS5 games are available for the PS4, so it's going to be for a while. So it's not like I'm missing out on anything.
True. I mean, what's cool about that is a lot of them are, they have free upgrades. So when you do get the PS5, you just download the PS5 version and boom, there you go.
But where I screwed up is I got rid of my PS4. The plan was, okay, I traded in a PS4 Pro and my Xbox One X, and then so that was like $400. So I only had to have $100, and I did have a PS5 pre-order that I sold, and I managed enough money that ended up paying for the my Series X. So basically, I got it for free. And then I had another $500 left over that I've still to this day I've not touched. I got it sitting in a bank account to buy a PS5 one day. But where I went wrong was there was some other extra money there that had meant to originally pay for a PS5 if I was going to buy it. And I ended up spending all that money on other things because I was no longer working, and did all that time in the hospital and sick and this and that and whatever. I ain't asking for anybody to feel sorry for me because I actually have a lot. I'm but that's the way it played out. And I kept thinking, well, come last year, Black Friday, I'll just pick up a PS4. I'll get a brand new one and I'll get the slim version. I don't need the Pro. And I'll be able to get one for like $150 or something. Well, that didn't happen. They sold them at full fucking price.
I know. Yeah.
The year before, you could get them for $179.99. I would have gladly paid that, but they didn't even do that. And I had the money, but I got stubborn. I'm like, no, when I buy that PS4, you're fucking going to sell it to me at a discount. You already got the PS5 out, and it is what it is. But I am going to buy a Series S to take with me to Thailand. as small as that baby is, it's gonna fit right in my suitcase.
Oh yeah.
PS5.
Yeah.
I'm not putting a PS5 in a suitcase and trying to take it into college.
No,
The
no. You'll probably
Series
have to pay extra for that.
Series S is perfect because I don't got to worry about games because it's digital, which I'm all digital on my Xbox anyway. But yeah, that and it's multi-voltage, so no matter where I go in the world, it'll work. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped over that. I just seen some in my local Walmarts here in Knoxville, Tennessee area. Now whether they're still there, I doubt. But one of them had 3, and another one had like as many as 5 behind the glass on the shelf. And I don't know about in the back. I just know out they had them. But nobody else, the GameStop, the Target, they didn't have them.
Wow.
Walmart, of all places, had Xbox. This was last week. So when I got groceries, they were there. And I was like, oh, I'm planning a trip to Thailand. I don't have to give up my gaming machine. Not only that, I can stream movies and other shit. Oh, what a perfect thing. It all just made sense. And I've even got an extra hard drive that I'm no longer using because I put that extra 8 terabyte that I bought. You can only stack 3 on your Xbox. You can have 3 external hard drives at one time. So I've got 2 8 terabyte ones for 16, and then I got a 4 terabyte one that I left over there. So I've got a total of 20 terabytes external hooked up to my Series X. Have not bought the $219 SSD external. I just thought for $150 I can get 8 fucking terabytes, or I can spend $219 and get 1 terabyte.
Can you unload the games? I mean, I know you can't really play them off the external.
No, I just anything. Right now I have half my internal hard drive full. Half. It's 500 whatever, 400 and something. So I have any game I've got room, or I can move a game. I can just swap them between the hard drives. But I just thought for now that seemed to be the more, and I don't think I'll ever have to buy another 8 because I've already got 8, 8, and 4, 20. So I could take the 4 terabyte one out, move everything on it over to another 8, and that would leave me 24 terabytes. But I don't know that I need to do that because I am going to want the 1 terabyte one for the back of it, and probably a 2 or 4 terabyte version they're going to eventually sell. And you can just reach around and pull those out and pop one in.
Yeah,
you don't have to daisy chain them because you just insert them like a cartridge slot. It's pretty cool. It's a very smart way to do it.
it is.
I'll give them that. In fact, I almost wish they put that fucking slot on the front and start selling games on those. Why not put a single game on a single, very small SSD? That just almost like putting
it's not a bad idea.
Almost like putting a Switch little cartridge into which is just an SD card. I mean, come on, that's all it is. And this is all this is, but it's an SSD.
And it's already pre-installed.
Yeah. So what? It's not 1 terabyte. You only need 200 gigabytes for the game. What if the game takes 500? Perfect. 500 gigabyte. The SSD would be just big enough to hold what it needed.
And then of course, since they're selling so many, it would be cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mojo, we got to put you in charge of Microsoft.
I get it. I'm not going to put a little 10 or 1 gigabyte, or not even, I don't know, a 50 megabyte game, onto something like that. No, I'm talking about the big games, your annual Call of Duties, your upcoming like Halo, anything that takes up a shit ton of space would be perfect on its own little SSD card.
And you have just enough to keep the save on there if you want it.
Oh yeah, that's plenty on it, and the save would go right on the same card. And then when you're not playing it, you can pop it out and put it in a little storage container beside your player. And I just think that would be genius. And not only that, that would be so fucking collectible because you're gonna have that little sticker on your SSD card for whatever game it is, and they're gonna be highly collectible. if it's a Halo or whatever.
Takes up a lot less space too.
But maybe because it's SSD, the price might cause the price of that single game. But what I'm saying is, you'd still sell the game the regular way. This is just something separate, a way for you to not have the game on a disc, not just downloading it to your drive. You would actually have it on that drive, and you're buying a little SSD. And because you're not putting it on a 1, 2, or 4 terabyte card, you're putting it on a 500 gigabyte SSD card, or a 200 gigabyte SSD card. So that's got to get the price down some. And it would be such a collector thing. People would pay. Well, what if it costs the game to be, instead of $60, $90? There are people that would gladly pay that extra $20, $30 for the game to get it on an SSD.
The other thing is too how durable are those cartridge slots too. I mean, obviously, if they did that, they would probably make sure that they can be hot swapped easily. But right now, it's probably designed where it's just only intended to be inserted or removed, a few times, not for every game.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of reasons why they can't do it.
Just
to me, it seems like a great idea.
No, I agree with you. I'm totally on board with that. If they were making it happen,
you got packaging that shows off the game that's on it, and inside.
Maybe that'll be a big E3 announcement. Maybe they'll announce that. Yeah, that would be cool, actually.
I don't see why they wouldn't do it. Because hey, here's the thing: Sony can't do that because their drive is inside, and it doesn't even work right now. They're still trying to get it tied to the cooling system or something or whatever. But yeah, you couldn't do it. They can. It's a slot. You can change them out. Maybe initially it is a price thing, but that price is going to come down. The 1 year thing is about to end this November. So anybody will be allowed to make them, and they'll be bigger sizes. That's how they'll keep their massive profit margin, because there'll still be people that'll pay $200, $300 for a 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte cartridge. But why? I'm not saying. I'm saying let's go the other way with it. How big's one of the biggest games? What's the Call of Duty right now? Everybody's bitching about.
I think it's 100 something, 110.
Right. So put a 200 gigabyte SSD card. So that now you're guaranteed all your saves. You never have to worry about it filling up and having to save it on the
you get downloads.
Drive. Yeah, all the downloads in future. So every time you do a future Call of Duty, that multiplayer version game, whatever's the latest and greatest, will go right on your card. Even though you've not even bought the newest, latest game, you're just going to get that download onto your card. You'll have plenty of space. And then you would have the graphics right on the card for Call of Duty, and you'd have the box. And I could just see that being a thing at some point in time. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not smart enough about these SSDs and the price and all that. And you're right, the durability of, is it going to? But it seems to me the drive is in the little cartridge. It's not using your internal in any way. So once you plug that in, it's a brand new SSD drive. It's just a drive
dedicated for that
built into it.
Yeah,
I'd buy that. I just would. I'm telling you. Or I was joking about, the Neo Geo games are like 10 megabytes or something. Well, fuck, sell me a 100 gigabyte SSD card that had like every ACA Neo Geo game already preloaded on it. That would be fucking awesome. I'd pay $70 for that.
It's really funny we talk about that now, because back in the day when the Neo Geo was out, it was such a big deal that their carts were so much bigger than what the Genesis and Super Nintendo. And now if you look at the games, they're like, 50 megabytes. Oh, that's it. It's like,
yeah, they don't
that was
take up much space
big back then, but
I downloaded the entire Neo Geo library. I can't remember what size SSD card I used, but it all fit on one card.
Yeah.
Really? But those cartridges were so big because they had memory built into them.
Right, exactly.
They had chips and things in them.
And that's why
some of them wasted a lot of space, though. I've got multiple of those cartridges, and I've looked at them. Trust me, some of them it's just empty,
I know.
wasted space. Other ones actually had they all have two boards inside of them, but yeah, it was yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on the game. And honestly, I mean, yeah, they were huge for what they were at the time. Because back then, 2 to 4 megabytes or 32 megabits, if you want to get to the byte thing, was really the max that most Genesis and Super Nintendo games. Those things were 10 times that. So, sure,
Oh yeah, yeah, they were. They're pretty. I'm still a Neo Geo junkie. I cannot control myself. I buy Neo Geo shit all the time, and
No, although I don't have the original system, I do have all the downloaded games and the Neo Geo, the mini.
I have
Neo
both
Geo.
my home console
Yeah,
and
that's
I
nice.
have the arcade version. I have the board that's been consoleized to hook up to a television.
That's cool.
I got multiple of the consoleized ones. I have like 3 of them, and I have one original home system. I love it. Love the Neo Geo stuff, and then I have for every system over the years. I've got at some point in the life of the PS2, the PS3, the 360. There was always here's a disc with 20 Neo Geo games or 30 Neo Geo games, and I always bought those. And
yeah, I have those too.
could not control myself on it. And I've got a Neo Geo. I've got 3 of the minis that are shaped like consoles that they sold. Not 1, not 2. I have 3 of them. They sold like 10 of them, and eventually I did stop. I realized stop fucking buying these. they barely differ in games, and once you buy one, you got one. You're good. Don't keep buying them. So yeah, but I have those, and then I've got the Neo Geo stick. It looks like a big control pad.
Yep.
I have that, and God, it's Neo Geo. I can't say no. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm like we were talking about, like that Tato.
Yeah, the egret. Yep.
God, that thing is so amazing, and the screen. I'm a sharp guy, and I'm just thinking that's going to be my primary. That screen's big enough. First of all, I can set and play on it, and then I can switch it and have it. Yeah, well, that's what's so cool about the Switch too, and that's why when they started talking about the with the OLED screen and stuff, I'm thinking, oh man, I can play all those shumps that have been put out for the Switch on a OLED screen, and all I got to do is hold this thing upright, and I'll be playing. Oh, yeah, I'm sold. Even on a regular Switch, it's always been my plan. I've got the one that my son has.
Yep.
I've got a dock for his, but it's still his. Now I'm gonna have my own, and I'm gonna,
And they'll probably re-release the flip grip for the new Switch. I'm sure the flip grip's awesome. I have it, and it basically just holds your Switch vertically while you click on the controllers, and it just holds it like that. If you want to do portable,
I had more than one tube television that I tried to put on its side to play vertically. Holy shit! I just never had the right model that would set. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, I know LCD screens, like the computer monitors, you can do it, but you need like an arm to do it. But
I go to this place for my when I had the wounds on my legs. It's a wound care center, and right in their main lobby, you walk in. There's like 5 or 6 windows with ladies behind them that'll direct you, because it's more than just wound care. There's like 30 different doctors' offices in this place. But anyway, and then there's like a big seating area. And over to the left is this fucking humongous LCD that's vertical. That's only about 2 foot wide by about 4 foot long. I don't even know exactly how long it is, but I'm like, oh my God, I fucking gotta have that. That would be so amazing to own that, to play these vertical things.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you can or what model. It's like I never did. I didn't look it up and stuff because I'm like, I'm sure they have a computer hooked to it, and they put different information on it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oops.
But it was so cool to see a monitor that was, that vertical.
Honestly, I think they're really regular monitors that they just put vertical.
Yeah, that's all it is. But it's meant to be honest. This was meant to only be vertical. You can't.
I
If
see what you're
you
saying.
tried to
Yeah.
run it horizontal, I don't think it would even work. Well, I guess I'm sure it has a switch that you could use it horizontal, but it would not. This is meant for vertical,
Yeah.
and I think even vertically, it had it where you could have information at the top that was different than the information that was shown at the bottom. Or it was like one big screen. It was different shit they could do.
There's so much you could do. Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many options and so many different things you can do.
But I want one of something like that for vertical shumps at home. But right now, I just be happy with the Switch. And then my plan had always been to get my own Switch. But then once, and they've been for 3 years now. They've been talking about the Switch Pro. So I just been waiting. Once they said Switch Pro, I was like, yeah, I'm sold. And I've been waiting.
I still say I predict March next year.
That's what I hope. That's perfect. That'll be, well, I'll still be in Thailand, but I think I can't get one over there to have Walt with me, that I can still have my son pick one up over here.
Oh yeah.
Or just as soon as I get back, go buy one, and I don't accept to have him buy it. That's going to be one of those things. Once they start selling them, that will be the only version of the Switch that you'll be able to buy. Well, the Mini, of course, still be out. But they will discontinue producing the regular Switches.
Right. That'll replace the regular Switch. So, like I said, it's just to kind of talk about the E3, because I know we kind of hyped it and we barely spoke about it.
Yeah, that's what when I was doing that. I was doing that on purpose because I
know.
didn't talk that much about E3.
People will be like,
the biggest E3 blowout on the interwebs.
And then everyone's be like, downvote. This doesn't talk about E3 at all. It's like, well, we can only speculate. We're not insiders, so. But I still think that
next week will still be the day before the big show.
Yeah.
So probably the week after that, or even the week after that, we'll end up going back and talking about what was shown at E3.
Exactly.
And all that.
Then we'll have a real E3 talk there. Yeah. So this is a prelude to the E3.
And you know what? I could actually sit here and go game by game and probably be 75% correct, because I watch other people who do those shows.
Right.
And I've seen them. I watch all that. That's why they don't need me and you to tell them all that shit. There's 100 other podcasts where they're doing E3 specials, and or just one. Just watch Randall Thorpe. My God, he's usually within one game of being 100% correct every E3. He breaks all that shit down logically and just knows what they're going to show. I think he does have some insider connections, although he denies it, but he does. But I don't want to be honest. I don't want to know all that. I just want to tune in and watch. I love shows and seeing all the different games, and yeah.
Oh yeah, I think there'll be a few surprises. I don't know what, but I think there will be. There usually is.
Yeah, well, they will be.
I mean, honestly, the last few E3 sucked. I'm just gonna lay it out right there. I didn't like them. They just didn't have.
I think you're going to finally hear about the Metroids going to get a blowout during their.
I hope so. There's a strong rumor, and I don't know how true this is, that there's a 2D version coming out.
That's the one I'm looking forward to.
I
don't like Prime. I don't like first-person games, and I never liked Prime. I'm like, fuck.
I did,
but that's if they went to that view.
I don't know. It worked for me. It worked for me for what they did and what they pulled off. I thought it was amazing. But again, that's me. That's, a lot of people liked it. But yeah, a 2D would be just amazing. Man, even if it's just a remake, hell, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, they technically already remade Zero Mission. Zero Mission was part 1 expanded, but Zero Mission was amazing. So hell, I'll even take a version of that.
I'm hoping it's one of those that'll have the original Metroid that was on the 8-bit NES, the Super version, was on Super Nintendo, and then, like you said, the Game Boy versions. How many ever they was or whatever they was.
You know what? Even if they did
all of that
Metroid
on one.
Yes.
one
Yes, and
package.
with like just enhanced 2D graphics.
Yeah,
Hmm. Ah, now I want it.
that's
Okay.
really bad, but we don't know yet. They've not announced what it is, though. We just kind of know it's coming. Just like we know Prime's coming. And the
Right.
whole deal about Prime is they went with the wrong company to make it. Because let's be honest, Nintendo's never been the biggest Metroid fans. It's their game, but they treat it secondhand.
They do also
Yeah.
too. It never did well in Japan, even
Yeah.
the first one, and that's part of the reason. Um,
But you know
it's
what?
more of a Western
I
game.
don't get that. Oh, it's like, well, wait a minute. We're still selling X amount of million copies elsewhere in the world. It's a huge franchise that they've been like,
Oh
nobody
yeah,
buys in Japan, so we don't like it. We don't care.
I know that. Well, you know what's interesting? The reason Super Metroid was so great is they actually tailored it for the Western audience,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. It's still my favorite game of all time, bar none.
Same here. Same here.
And I don't know, they just can't quite capture that lightning in a bottle twice. But I don't expect them to, and you know what? I'm okay with that. Just give me a good game that I'll enjoy and play. I'm happy. I mean, I liked Fusion. I thought Fusion it wasn't Super Metroid, but it was good.
Yeah.
For the Game Boy
I did
Advance.
play all the primes, by the way. I just don't like the first person view, but at the same time, they were still really good games.
They were.
And the
They were.
mechanics worked real well with the Wii and the. So like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're gonna do this with 4. Who knows? Maybe 4 will be 2D. Not. We don't even know. We're assuming it's gonna
Yeah,
be
because
first
the original
person.
that's what started this little conversation was
Yeah.
the original. Well, didn't we started it and then I went to this and then we got away from it. But whoever they had hired to make the game did a shit job. So Nintendo fired them, turned it over to the regular guys that do their remakes or whatever. And
The Retro Studios. Yep.
yeah, so they got delayed. Basically, if you want to call it a delay, that's like a 2-year delay
It's
or
not even a
more.
delay. It's just a full blown restart. They
Yeah, had to
scrapped it.
restart. So instead of getting it last year, we're getting it next year.
I would love to hear. I know it's probably going to be buried in the annals of history, but I'd love to hear, one of these channels at some point in the future, what the original version was and why they scrapped it. Just for curiosity. I'm just curious if we'll ever find out.
Yeah, that's rarity that you get the real.
Yeah, we probably won't, but it's just
Um,
one of those things that I would be really interested just to, just for history's sake, curiosity.
there's been Microsoft used to be so bad about fucking up games that somebody'd be making for them, and Microsoft would suggest you do something, then they wouldn't do it, and then Microsoft would force them to do it, and so some games got dicked up or didn't get made, got canceled, and there's all kinds of reasons for when that kind of stuff happens.
But I have to say they're doing good so lately. So they're hopefully they keep that. They don't
Yeah, I think
derail themselves or
Phil's
anything.
putting stuff in place that I think once he goes, whoever takes over is not gonna. They're not gonna do a 180. They're like, oh, we're doing great. Let's just keep the same policies.
Yeah. Yeah, Phil's the best thing that ever happened to them. Really.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
They've had other guys that were really good in charge, but the problem was they didn't stay in charge long enough.
Right.
They had their little 3-year, 4-year run, and then off buying a soccer team and or working for EA or whatever they were doing, and then next guy, and then they ended up, they got a shitty one, and even worse, they got a shitty guy who was running Windows, who was over all of Xbox. That and everything kind of crashed and burned at the same time with Xbox One, and out of the ashes. That's great.
Rose of Phoenix. Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad. We would have never. Listen, if they hadn't fucked up the Xbox One so bad, they would never have bought all these studios that they own now. They would have just kept buying games, and they would have been some great games. Don't get me wrong; they would have been. I know they would have been. But if the console had been a huge success, and they would have followed that same, we would have not got Game Pass. And I'm just telling you, Game Pass is the greatest thing in the history of games.
And I'll tell you something too. They wouldn't have been much of a competitor because then that means it would have stagnated more. Sony would have stagnated. Because Sony is notorious for riding on their laurels and just saying, "Yeah, look how great we are." And I mean, just
it's hard not to when you're making money. They all have those boards.
It's true.
You
Yeah.
and the board. Hey, what are we making this? It's all about this quarter, not what do we make a year. What can we make
That's the
this
nature of
last quarter?
business. Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. The point is, it it worked out because competition is what drives innovation. And that's just the reality of it. And we need the competition. That's why I don't want Microsoft to fail. I don't want Nintendo to fail. And I don't want Sony to fail. I want them all to succeed in their own way and keep pushing forward because we as a gamer win at the end no matter what. And that's what it's about.
yeah. But this whole thing with Game Pass was just unimaginable,
Oh, yeah.
and to have it happen and work. I hardly buy games anymore. I mean, occasionally. I mean, I bought like that Capcom
Yeah, yeah,
Stadium
sure.
thing, and then I bought the. Actually, I still buy a lot of games. Fuck, what am I saying? I just bought the Ghost and Ghouls thing.
Yeah, and
But
you also buy the minis, which is technically buying games.
yeah,
So,
but as far
but
as
I
the
know
big
what you
AAA
mean.
stuff, I'm not dropping $60, $70
Sure.
a month or twice a month. Now I'm doing it once every 3 or 4 months. Depending on the game. There's still occasional third party game come out where I'm like, you know what? That's the kind of game I like. I'm buying that. I'm not waiting. Otherwise, I just wait till a sale price. I've never had problems on waiting. So
That's good. That's the way it
yeah, I've
should
never
be, I
been
think.
about being I got to buy this day one. It's about what can I afford. I raised 2 kids on a government salary. Being military, so low pay, and getting games is like you do it when you can.
Sure. Yeah, I've been lucky lately. Although I gotta cool it. But I've been lucky lately just because I've had. I'm scared to say this because jinx and all. I've had enough so far where I was able to cover my habit with buying like certain Switch games and things. I just gotta cool it though because you could very easily fall off that wagon,
Oh yeah,
and next thing you know,
what's
you're in
it
serious
called?
debt.
I am. Well, one thing that's helped me is that I primarily just Xbox. So whenever they have the sales is when I buy stuff. And sometimes it's not even the first time I see the game on sale. Sometimes I wait till 2, 3, which can be 6 months to 8 months later. There'll be another.
Sure.
There've already been 2 more sales, and then there's a big sale, and then I see that game that it was 30, but now I can get it for 15. Now I'm buying it. That's how you end up with 800 games on one console. But
That's true. I do that too. I do that all
and
the time.
and
Um,
for the PS4, we're not even talking PS5 yet because I've not even bought one. But I don't have that many PS4 games. I bought just the big bangers, and I went physical with those. I thought since I know I'm not buying that many because if it's a third party game, I'm getting it on Xbox, so I don't have
right.
to worry about buying that crap on Sony. I think the only big third party game I bought for the PS4 was Doom because of the VR. And yeah, so other than that, I bought all physical for it. Even though I still ended up with probably 200 digital fucking games, you can't help it. They give you games. There's just ways of getting them, and
Yeah, I know. That's
it
great.
builds up. It's like, fuck, I don't remember buying that or getting that, but you have it. Well, I didn't spend that much, in all honesty, on the Sony stuff, and that was spread out over the whole 7 years of that generation. So I
That's
felt
kind of
good.
my dirty secret too. There's a lot I waited on, and
Sure.
literally went. I mean, some of the great games are in bargain bin prices now. I mean, if you don't mind waiting a year or two, like you said, like you can go into a Walmart or Target or any store, go to their clearance sale. Oh, hey, look, here's Halo, 5 for $5. I
Well,
mean, heck, look at what they did with Gears of War 5. I got it for $5, brand new. $5, a $60 game for $5.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, just wait it out. I
I have
mean,
never had a problem with waiting and buying games on sale, but there have been. Jesus, I got 2, 4, 6, 7, 9 games that need updating. Sometimes there's 40 or 50 that will need updating. When you have 800 games, it's
oh
yeah.
yeah,
And that's the great thing. I love how they update these games constantly. I mean, I'm looking at stuff like Apex Legends, Dauntless, Roblox, Warfare. All these needed updating. It's cool. It's like games you like. Really, you're updating that? Sometimes it's really tiny shit, but I like it when hey, if you bought my product, we're gonna keep supporting it and supporting you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That's really
I gotta
nice.
go to manage queue. They're still in the queue. Okay. Fortnite's the king of the updates though, because they
Well, they change it every day. Yeah,
oh yeah.
which
It's
is
a
fine. That's part of what its draw
actually it's a
is.
pretty big update. It's 24.75 gigabytes. Fuck. 24 gig and it's gonna take 8 minutes is what it says. Not bad.
No, that's really good actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, my speeds aren't that
Warframe,
high.
Skyforge, Destiny 2, Roblox, Dauntless, Warface, Sea of Thieves, not the game. Sea of Thieves Insider has an update, and then Apex Legend has one. It's pretty cool. I know they'll do it on themselves. If I don't do anything, but I'm looking at recently installed. Damn, I
Me too.
pre-purchased Zombies Ate My Neighbors and what's the second
That's right.
one?
That's coming out. Ooh.
Yeah, it's got both games. The sequel too.
Oh,
I'm looking
sweet.
at it on my screen, but I can't read it. My eyes are pretty bad because it's got a weird font. Fuck, I'm about to click on it. God damn it. It says you're too early. Yeah, I pre-bought it. But hang on. Oh, Ghoul Patrol. But yeah, that's a horrible font they used. No wonder the game didn't sell very well back then.
What is that? You know that blurry thing? Never mind. Let's go with Super Metroid. Yeah, it's
But recently installed Stormfront, the Mutant War. I have no idea what the fuck that is. Super Bomberman Online, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and Ghoul Patrol, Yakuza 6, Tech Wars Global Conflict, Heavy Metal Machines. Some of these are the free crap that they give away at the
right.
moment.
Yeah.
But other ones, I don't know. I mean, something called Minion Masters. I don't know what that is. And then the Ghost and Goblins. Cool.
Let's see. When is it coming out? Zombies. Oh, June 29th.
Jesus, I've already got it pre-ordered. And I don't normally pre-order stuff, but that Zombies, I knew immediately. I'm fucking
Oh
buying
yeah,
that.
that's a classic.
Because I
Yeah, I'm
want to
getting that too.
support whenever somebody does a actual Super Nintendo game or a Sega Saturn game or any of that stuff, and they're putting it on modern consoles. You get my money, and I'll give it to you in advance because I love it when they do that stuff. I'm a huge fan of that, and I don't, that's it's probably a good thing that I haven't been buying a ton of Switch games because Nintendo is one of the best at doing that. There's been a ton of great games they've carried over from the um, Wii U, whatever it was, the Wii U 2. What is it? The Wii U?
Wii U? Yeah, the Wii U. He said it.
Yeah, because it was Wii and then Wii U. I'm sorry.
Right. Yep.
Holy shit! So they brought all those games over and put them on the Switch, and it's like, well, yeah, of course they can make money, but no, not that doesn't always happen. If it's a good game, I love it when it gets carried over. Sometimes I don't know what it is, but some games just fall through the cracks, or you have to wait way too long before they do a good upgraded version of it. Companies will put them on that back shelf and hopefully still be in business 20 years later when they do a Resident Evil 2 remake that's so amazing. You know, um,
By the way, I see what you mean
or,
by the Ghoul Control. Ghoul. Oh my God, Ghoul Patrol font. Wow, that is.
yeah, on the little thumbnail,
Yeah, it's
and I'm
impossible to
looking
see.
at it on a 4K television, a 55 inch, so pretty decent size. And I'm sitting only about 5 foot away, maybe 6 foot, I don't know. But I couldn't read it. Holy shit. But yeah, I just love it when they support old games. That's why when I see something like Ghost and Goblins, and even though I might not be 100% on board with how they did the graphics on it, I'm like, you know what? I'll give you my money. I believe in game preservation and I love all the stuff that the Xbox has been doing on that, and
Oh yeah.
I supported them heavily, even if it's just little stuff like I buy a shit ton of Neo Geo, that ACA. I don't people don't understand how important that is. That's on all three consoles, and I think they're on PC too. That can be purchased. I don't even know who ACA is and how they got that contract to sell, but they did a great job. All the games look and play perfect. So I support that, and I've bought a lot of them. But yeah, I mean, but it is what it is. So
Oh, look at that.
and I'm a sucker for value. That's why when something like that Capcom Stadium Arcade, oh, holy shit, that thing is amazing.
Yeah, I like the fact that you can like even play like in the arcade window, and you can see the other games playing on the side. That's
Yeah, it's at
little
first
silly things like that.
I'm like, well, this is stupid. I hate that. And then I realized what they were doing. I was like, oh wait, I can actually see the other machines while I'm playing my machine. So I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool. It's
Yeah,
silly, but it's kind of cool.
kind of reminds
Well,
me
I've
of the
got
old
mine set now
arcades.
where it's just
Yeah,
one screen. You don't see I don't have the arcade cabinets on it. But for the side things, instead of having it just be black, I think I have the. It might be the one that just has the Capcom logo over and over. I had the cutie, their little arcade machines that they did. I don't think they were ever in the States, but I think most people in the States have probably seen them. They were more big in Japan. They were like about the same time people went to candy cabs. Capcom started selling those cuties so they could get arcade machines in other places where you couldn't fit a full size arcade cabinet or the candy cab machines. They were
right.
so. But that anyway, I had the cutie borders up for a while, but I think I switched it to where it just has the word Capcom printed over and over on the sides. But and then but regardless, it's just pretty cool, and yeah, they did a great job on it, and that after that beat 'em up bundle, they did good by it. Because, like I said, I've got the Capcom one arcade machine thing from the 360 generation, and I gotta say that was shitty. It was a poor job. Half the ports are very bad, and it was a bitch to track down some of those games later on. They were hard to find, even though you were just downloading them. It was like half the time it wouldn't work, and I don't want to get into it all, but that was not a very good way of doing it when they did it on the 360. It was half-hearted.
I didn't even bother with it. I kind of knew that had problems, and honestly, a lot of those games I already had from the previous gen with the Capcom Greatest Hits. When they
Yeah,
released them, when they released like 20 on a single disc for $20, I was like, "Oh, this is great." Those were fine. Those were perfectly fine.
yeah. And now they're getting better. They're realizing that hey, if we put out a good enough product, we can sell enough copies where we're not losing money.
Right.
We can still make a little bit of money and do a fan service. And that's why I like this kind of stuff, and I love those kind of games. But most of them I can get now on the minis. All those
It's kind of
Capcom
funny.
games, I have them on my minis,
We
and they
play
look
them
great.
now, and you can beat them in like 40 minutes if you just keep pumping the quarters.
Yeah.
But in the arcades, it was like you were in there for like 3 hours just to get past the first level, and you already spent like $10. Mm.
I've got those for the Genesis too. The one that came out a couple years ago, the Mega Drive Classics,
Oh yeah.
and that's almost identical to the game that they put out on the PS3 and the
Hmm.
360. Little differences here and there, and I felt like that was almost a cash grab because Sega did it right the first time, whereas Capcom didn't. Capcom
Right.
got it right this time, but I can't help that. You put a package of games together, and it's hard for me to say no.
Yeah. Same here.
I like supporting these companies when they do that kind of stuff. So that is so weird. Now there's like 9 games in my fucking queue. I don't understand. There was 6 a minute ago. 3 more games just popped in.
Sure.
Come on.
He woke it up. It's like, oh, we got to update this and this and this.
So weird. But yeah, every once in a while I forget to check, even though I've got it set to automatically do this stuff. Oh, when I put
Yeah,
that
but there's a
hard drive
limit.
in the other day, I had to move. I've got the Gears of War 4 terabyte. No, 2 terabyte. Gears of War 2 terabyte hard drive. And so I'm like, well, when I'm adding that 8 terabyte one, I'm like, I got to pull that 2 terabyte one out. It's just not useful enough. So I moved those games onto the new one, and that took forever. Way longer than I thought moving 2 terabyte worth of games would take. It took a long time. But at the same time, I wasn't even thinking like an idiot. As I had all this shit hooked up, I went to the updates and clicked it, and then it took it. It was spinning for a while, and then it popped up, and I just hit update all. Holy fuck! I think between the updates and moving those games over, I think it was about 10 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah, I believe it.
But
hey, it's done.
That long when I switched from the One X over to my Series X. Yeah, whatever. My thing was, how did that many games not already get updated? What the fuck's going on? I've got it turned on to just automatically do that shit.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak for that, but I can tell you, like on the Switch, for example, if this is anything to go by. I know it's Switch, it's a Switch, but the Switch only updates the last 20 games you played. If you have like a lot, it'll update it if you, of course, access it. Whenever you access it. But if you have like 40 games on your system, and the 20 of them you haven't played in forever, it won't even update them. It only updates the most recent. So I'm thinking that to save bandwidth, Microsoft and Sony do something similar.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I know it shouldn't be the way it works, but it's the only thing I can come up with.
I've got 1 terabyte internal, which is the SSD, and 2 Seagate 8 terabyte ones. I got the white one that actually has the name Game Hub on it. And then I've got a regular Seagate, which is identical to that one, but it's just not Xbox endorsed or whatever. It didn't have, it's just, they're all the same. You can use them on a computer or on the Xbox or on a PlayStation for that matter. But, yeah, I've got that 8 terabyte one. That one's 99% full. Holy shit, I should move a couple games off that. Because here's the thing that always weirds me off that I don't like. I'll have the game on one hard drive, but later it'll get updates and they'll put the update on a different drive. Doesn't keep it from playing. They play fine, they work fine, but it bugs the shit out of me thinking that
that's interesting.
I want all the updates to be on the same fucking drive.
Yeah.
But that 99% one, there's no space on there. So it just throws it onto a different one. And yeah, it's weird. But it knows and everything plays fine. It's not a problem. I just don't like that. So I'll probably move about 10 of those games over to the new one. And then that 4 one I've got, it's almost empty. I've got a 4 terabyte one that's 2.5 terabyte are free. So not bad. Like I said, I don't think I'll ever have to buy that last 8 one. I think 20 terabytes is going to be plenty.
Yeah, I think you said for a while.
I'm going to add bigger external SSDs. So for all these, other games, I'll have 20 terabytes worth of storage. But I mean, I'm at 800 games now, so. But I don't know. By the end of the gen, who knows? I heard, even back in the day, some of the really hardcore people, one guy told me that he had 2 stacks of drives to fill up all his games. And he literally, half his games couldn't be played until he unplugged the one stack and then plug in the new one.
Wow. Yeah, well.
I'm not, how many games you got? But even back then, I think he had about 1,500 games. And that was only around halfway through the gen. But he had a shit ton of 360 games. So almost everything that was back compat he had. But I'm like, well, fuck. Why would you leave that game on your drive? You've got the disc. It won't play without the disc in anyway. Why are you leaving it on there? I'll just delete that fucker But his thing was he wanted the name of the game to show up on the screen.
Well, hey, whatever works, I guess.
Yeah,
I have nothing
maybe I'm
like
just
that.
bad.
I just
I do kind of like seeing mine that way too. I honestly don't need. I was telling my son the other day, I'll be happy with the S. Not having, I'm going to take that little 2 terabyte one, the Gears hard drive with my S. So I'll have a handful of games I'll have on the external. I don't. It's a $300 console. I'm not putting a $220 1 terabyte
it's almost as much as
SSD on it.
yeah.
No, I will put $100 SSD on it. Hopefully, $100 2 terabyte SSD. 3 years from now, or 4 years now, when the prices are more reasonable, that would work great with that S. But until then, I'm just gonna delete games and reinstall, delete, reinstall. I got no problem doing that. But for
Or if
anything
you
I
can move
play,
them, if you don't want to reinstall, you could just move them to an external drive.
well, that's what I'm saying. But because I'm gonna
Oh,
be,
okay.
living in I can't. I can only have basically what I take with me when I
Gotcha.
go over there because
I
I'm
got you
be
saying.
buying shit and bring back. And you can only bring off 50 suitcases because if you try to ship stuff, I'm not. Yeah, not doing that. It's not like being in the military where the Air Force is going to pay to ship all my stuff home like they used to. Yeah, that would be totally on me. But but I have an extra 2 terabyte drive. I'm thinking, well, that will hold plenty. So at any given time, I'll have 10 or 15 games on that drive, and then move anything else. I can just move around, while I'm over there. And the cool thing about it is it's Xbox, so everything works anywhere. So I can actually purchase games over there that'll be on my Xbox over here that my son can play, or use. We don't even do the game sharing thing. He just logs onto my account. He has it. He has his own, whatever you call it, profile. Which I get onto him for that because I'm like, fuck, you need to help my gamer score. Damn. What are you doing? If you're gonna play on my account, so get
Yeah.
me fucking gamer score. I ain't gonna lie, my gamer score is embarrassing.
It's okay. Mine isn't much better.
But, yeah, and it still amazes me every once in a while. I'll be playing something and I'll get an achievement in the gamer score, and I'm like, fuck, it's like I have 800 games. Why don't I have about 500,000? I have no idea, but I just don't. And sometimes I'll play a whole game and get halfway through and nothing's pops, or then one thing will pop, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Well, some of those achievements are ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
and they're designed like some of them are just designed where you have to play the game like 5 times to get everything, and it's like, okay, if you play it once, you get one. Hey, you beat it. There's your one. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody talks
Other,
about those Neo Geo ones being like cheap, easy gamer score, but it's like I've got all those, and I've played them all on this Xbox, and I don't think I've gotten more than one or two achievements from it. I don't know how many gamer score points, but
yeah, I think you got to do specific stuff. It's
yeah, and I don't do
it's
that. I just play, and I rarely
yeah.
go more than one or two
That's what
levels.
I do. That's why my gamer score sucks. I just play it to play it. I don't care about.
Yeah, I don't watch no gamer score guides, or I've never tried to
I mean,
figure out
I
what
know I
gamer.
spoke about like Resident Evil 8, where I got like I'm 2 away from platinum. I'm not aiming for platinum. I just enjoyed the game that much that I just happened to get that many trophies from it because I went through it a couple of times. That has nothing to do with me aiming for it. That was just because I wanted to see what the weapons I can get. But yeah, otherwise I don't care. It's like same thing with Xbox or any game. Achievements don't mean much to me. I just play the game.
Holy shit! I just counted those Neo Geo games. I got 34 ACA Neo Geo games.
Hey,
But now
that's
I have
cool.
more. I have some Neo Geo games that were just on the 360 that I've got, and a couple that were actually ported over and ended up on the one somehow. I don't know how, but I have them.
Hey, there it
So
is.
they're there. So I probably have close to around 40 total Neo Geo stuff. It's only that's not bad. But
Not at all.
I've I've got Contra that was on the 360. I think I paid like 99 cents for it or something one day when they on a sale. But I also have that Contra collection that they put out, and they did a pretty decent job on it. But the original Contra will never play or look good because it was a sub 8-bit game, to be honest, and it was meant to be on a size of screen that you can't play on anymore.
Yeah, honestly, the best version of it, and is actually not on the Contra collection. Contra collection is perfectly fine, but the most accurate one I've played is actually the hamster one because the one on the collection actually has a lot of slowdown, like that wasn't in the arcade, and it also it's missing the algorithm for the math
Well,
coprocessor the arcade used.
anything that was on the NES, I don't even want to play on it.
I'm not talking about the NES. I'm talking about the arcade, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, forget the NES version. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
the
the actual
NES version
arcade.
is actually better because the NES version was was actually designed to
I agree.
afford it to
Yeah,
play on a
I'm not knocking it. I'm just
big
saying. I'm
TV. So it plays wider that gives you more screen,
right.
and so it just feels better when you're playing it. Everything's a little bit bigger. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's not
No, no,
accurate, but it just I think it looks better.
no, no. I don't disagree with that. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, just for a strictly emulation version, like just as an
Yeah.
emulator. What's on the classic, the Contra collection, is not the best version of it. The hamster version is. If you want to download that, not you, but anyone who
Well,
listens to this,
I don't know if Hamster did the one I've got here. I'm gonna click it. I've got it for the 360.
I don't think they did the hamster one for 360. Right. I don't think they did the 360 one, but I could be wrong.
This opened up. Well, we'll see right here in about 30 seconds. So it'll. But just looking at it, yeah, it looked horrible when it came up. The opening graphics were said Contra, but now it's doing the 360 swirl thingy.
Yeah.
Hold on, but what's cool about the collection is it's got the Super Nintendo one.
Oh yeah,
That's
the
awesome.
collection's awesome. No, no,
They
no, no.
look great on a 4K television.
Everything about the Contra collection's excellent. The only one that's not 100% is the arcade one. Everything else is fine though.
Digital Eclipse.
Okay.
They're
Yeah, it's
pretty
not the
good.
same. They are.
They're probably not as good as Hamster, but they're not hacks either.
No, no. Digital Eclipse is good. M2 is good. Hamster's good.
Yeah, I like the M2 stuff a lot.
Yeah, they're great. They really pride, and even if they mess it up, they go back and they fix it.
Yeah, I've actually gotten a couple of updates on this particular version of Contra. It gives you the arcade version and Xbox Live version with leaderboards, achievements,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so it's pretty cool. But to be honest, when you play it, because of that screen size thing that they chose,
Yeah, no.
it just I'm like, this is not a vertical game. Why in the fuck do you put it on a vertical monitor?
It probably
And
had
not even a
excess.
standard vertical monitor. It was off-sized.
I know.
I don't know what they were thinking, but that's why Nintendo said, "Fuck that. We're gonna code the game so it'll play fat or whatever you want to stretch the graphics
Widescreen.
or whatever."
Yeah, let's call it widescreen.
But it looks great. It plays fine. I actually prefer the NES version than the arcade version.
Oh yeah.
That's probably the only NES game I would ever say that about. In fact, it is the only NES version. I never say that.
Well, actually, I thought Rygar was better on the NES. Same thing with Bionic Commando, my opinion. The graphically it wasn't better, but gameplay and just style was better.
Wow, I just started this. Yeah, this is not good. I'd forgotten how bad it looked.
Yeah, you kind of can't go back to it.
Yeah, it's but you can. It's the Super Nintendo ones. I play those all the fucking
Oh,
time
that's
on my
amazing.
game,
Yeah.
and my God, they look so good. I don't understand how they went so wrong with Contra after the Super Nintendo. They never got
Well,
the 3D right. And they never got any more good 2D ones.
Hardcore was pretty good on the Genesis too.
Yeah,
That was good.
you're right.
But that was the last. Yeah, the 16 bits. That was it. After that, they kind of fell off the wagon.
Yeah,
I did like.
there's people who was programming there at Konami at the time are more worried about Metal Gear Solid, and they just didn't give a fuck about Contra anymore.
Yeah.
And everything was about Sony and Metal Gear.
Sadly.
Wow, this uses the A button to fire. What the fuck? That doesn't feel right at all.
Can we map it? I don't have the.
Yeah, you can. The B button makes you do the big double jump flip thing. Anyway, I'm turning it off. I shouldn't even be doing this.
So let's play without the let's play.
You hit home and come out of that completely. But yeah, I love when they do those collections of old games and they do a good job of it. I can't wait till the new Switch comes out and I get it. I'm gonna try to save up so I've got about $500 after I buy the console just to buy retro games for my Switch.
That's something the Switch is really good at. I gotta say,
and they're you're not paying $50-$60 full price, but you're not paying $5-$10 either. They're usually $20 or $30. So, and I'm just gonna go all digital. I'm not even gonna try to buy the physical.
That's fine. Yeah.
I think I'll just
Switch,
whatever's the biggest
Switch
size.
games are pretty small, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm only putting retro games, so they're gonna be even smaller. So
yeah, so
I'll have other games too. It's not just gonna be retro. I mean, I'll have.
You'll probably be good with 128 gig or even a 256 gig. I mean, you can put up to it. Yeah, I think 2 terabyte, but
yeah, I think I'm stupid, and I'll go with whatever's the biggest size. I don't care what it costs because it's a one-time expense.
Yeah, it's true.
And,
yeah, trust me, you're not gonna be swapping it out ever.
Yeah, I think my son and his only has the 125. You said 24.
128.
128.
Yeah.
I think that's what's in his, and he's said it's he's.
I have a.
But he don't buy that many games for it. He really don't.
Yeah, and I have a 512 on mine. It's because I got it cheap on Black Friday, and yeah, I think I'm set for the life of the Switch.
When I drag him along somewhere that's going to be really boring and make him go with me, he actually brings his Game Boy Advance, the clamshell, the square one.
That's a good system.
He loves it. He still this day. We hacked it or whatever you want to call it. We've got not a very good one though. You have to download the games and then you have to go in and re-change the little dot.
Oh yeah.
And then rerun the game, so it takes an extra couple minutes on every fucking game you've downloaded. So, but we have that, but he usually don't even use that. He just has games that he's bought for or had for it. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of that Advance too. But this is pretty funny. It's like you're not playing your Switch, really. You're playing a fucking Game Boy Advance.
Hey, what's cool about that?
Yeah, this is the last great handheld.
Honestly, because the Game Boy Advance, the SP, the clamshell he has, it plays all the Game Boy games, all the Game Boy Color games, and all the Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just amazing. And
he's got the last the Game Boy, the 2DS. Not the original 2DS, but the last. When they went back to 2D, he's got one of those, but he don't usually bring it. He usually brings that Advance.
Nothing wrong with that. Hey, good stuff.
Yeah,
there's classic stuff on there.
I've just never liked playing on handhelds, but it still don't. That's why I was saying that's why I'll play Game Boy Advance games through my GameCube.
Yeah, that's fine. I've been sold. I was always on board with handhelds. To be honest, I started with Game & Watch. Before I had my first Atari, which was Atari 2600. That was my first console. I had the Game & Watch.
At one point during its life cycle, I had an original OG Game Boy, but I just hated the color or the lack of color, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
And I tended to just play Tetris, and I didn't even like Tetris, and I don't know. I ended up getting rid of it. But
I still had a bunch of games for it, but at the same time, I was like really wanting the color. That's why when the Game Boy Color came out, I was
starting with the Game Boy Color. By then, I had my kids, and the oldest would always hog up whatever console we had hooked up to the TV, and I just got tired of seeing his little brother standing behind him watching. So I started buying him handhelds, and I think, no, I don't think I'm sure it was the Game Boy Color was the first one I'd gotten. Which was the first ones that had the printer.
Well, technically, the regular Game Boy had it. But yeah, the Game Boy Color was probably
The stickers. Well, I think we had that stuff with the Game Boy Color, not the original Game Boy.
Yeah.
But I know I did not buy an original Game Boy. I'm pretty sure it was the Color. And then we got an advance. Whatever after that, as each one came out, I always made sure he had it, including the Switch. Even though he was a grown adult and was already working, I bought him that Switch. It's kind of like, hey, this is the last fucking console that I'll ever buy you because you're way too old now. I shouldn't have even bought that for you, but I wanted a Switch really bad. I didn't want to buy it for myself because I was already buying PS4 and Xbox One games. I'm like, I can't be buying all three. I'll go broke. But I'll get it for him. And yeah, okay. I conned myself out that way, But the thing was, he don't buy a lot of games. He's a PC player, and they, you know how they are. They play everything fucking free.
Yep.
And if he does buy games, it's that rarity every once in a while, a blue moon on a sale on Steam. He'll buy when they have a big package of games, he might, spend a tiny amount of money. But I can't make him like the games I like, and plus I don't want him spending a fortune on games anyway. That's crazy. If he still gets the game and does it his way and doesn't spend a fortune, good. Like I said, I don't think he's ever had more than a handful of the big AAA Switch games. He just don't buy them.
Well, hey, whatever he's happy with, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's why I knew I had to buy my own, though, because I was like, well, I don't want to be taking his always. And although he don't play it that much. But I didn't want to buy games for it either because it is his. And then it's like, I'll just wait and get my own. And then I'm going to try not to buy any of the big expensive games. I'll get those after the next generation comes out. And for now, I want to use that Switch to play old school 16-bit and 32-bit games on. And I know that there's a crap ton of them out there on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Joe, I got to get going soon.
Yeah, we went a little long tonight. But that's all right. Hey, it was our big E3 blowout, man. We had to go a little bit long. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more to talk about in a couple of weeks. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I'm kind of telling you now, we probably don't even need to worry about next week. What would we talk about the night before the show? It's like, fuck.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, we just talk about the same stuff we did tonight, retro games. And stuff.
I think we should just call it now. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
yeah, we'll be back after E3, and then we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
That's, that works. Tell them where they can find you.
Yep. So I'm on Twitter. Grey Wolf Gamer 1. That's GREY. Just in case you misspell it. And I'm on Twitter, and just feel free to message me, say hello, friend me, whatever.
And I'm still Mojo _blues1 on Twitter and YouTube. Still not doing videos every week. I keep saying I'm going to, but then I don't make any. So everything on my YouTube channel is just podcasts, but they're not time specific. So you can go back, telling people now, you can go back and watch those old ones. We talk about any and everything. That's why the truer name for this podcast is Everything But the Kitchen Sink. You're not tied to whatever was the big release on any given week talking about. Yeah, we might talk about it, but we talk about tons of other stuff. We don't limit ourselves to whatever the topic of the week top stuff. And I expect a lot more talk about this Egrets little handheld thing that looks like the actual Egrets candy cab. Because other than the we'll talk about it in a future show. I don't want to even go into it now.
We'll be here for another hour.
The various candy cab models. We'd be here another hour. So we'll call it a night. I'm hitting in broadcast as we speak.
Thank you, everyone. Have a